best performers of 1943. It is now 2023. The war in Ukraine is not over yet, but the tide is turning, and it is already clear who will win. There were still battles and tears ahead, but now I can definitely tell you who was the best in the previous year. It was you, the free people of the free world, those who united around the support of the free Ukrainian people in our common struggle for freedom. The First World War claimed millions of lives. The Second World War claimed tens of millions of them. There will be no Third World War. It is not a trilogy. Ukraine will stop the Russian aggression on our land.
American singer Her, whose Grammy-winning hit became an anthem of the Black Lives Matter movement, says she's still amazed at the power of music to inspire. Fresh from starring as Belle in a tribute to Beauty and the Beast for Disney, Her has a big screen film debut coming up in the musical The Color Purple. It's based on the Alice Walker novel. It made stars of Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey, and it was last filmed by Steven Spielberg in the 1980s. Earlier, the songwriter unveiled the latest guitar in collaboration with guitar maker Fender. It's called the Her Limited Edition Blue Marling Stratocaster.
The Color Purple was insane, and I'm so grateful that that was technically like my first debut, you know, officially working with Oprah, and Spielberg is involved. Like, it's insane. And of course, like Blitz, who's a creative and a musician and a writer, and he's so many things. So it was really cool to collaborate with somebody who just like understands all worlds, and we just had so much fun. And the cast is amazing, you know, Fantasia, Halle Bailey, Taraji P. Henson, like the list goes on. It was really special for me, and I'm excited for people to see me in that way, you know. And I'm not wearing glasses in The Color Purple, so there's that. Yeah, I really wanted to make something that people would look at and go like, wow, like, is that a texture? Is that paint? Like, what's going on, you know? And I think that was really important for me in the creative process. But yeah, it's called the Blue Marlin because I grew up going fishing with my dad a lot, and I just think it's one of the coolest looking fish.
Well, that's it for today. Up next, it's the morning show. It's a full day ahead in every moment matters. I'm Kichi Nana. Thank you for watching.
I'm Kenneth Hormer. Good morning.
Yesterday, I got a call from Glow. I won a 3-bedroom bungalow.
Yes, guys! Guess what? I won a car. I won a generator by participating in the Festival of Joy promo by Glow.
Hey, you know, don't do this one for me. You know, to make it set to me with sewing machine.
I won generator last year. This year I won for art.
It's a celebration like no other, with prizes like no other. 20 new houses to be won, 24 brand new cars, 200 sewing machines, 100 generators, 1,000 rechargeable fans. Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# now.
Getting together for the first time in years was a little bit awkward. Grandpa still tried to entertain us. Mom was always stealing the spotlight from the kids. It wasn't until Grandma cracked a joke
That's my favorite prayer.
that we got back into our groove. In this festive, DSTV is making family time even better with an upgrade.
Stay connected to DSTV and we'll upgrade you to the next package for free.
All right, good morning. You're watching the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. I'm Rafai Hosseini.
And I'm Ayo Meyer Essay. We've got a great show lined up for you over the next 3 hours. So sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day because the morning show begins right now.
All right. Presidential candidates running for office will go any lengths to sell their candidacy to the people as they seek the #1 job in Nigerian politics. From town hall meetings to carrying out their various party rallies across the country, the candidates also take their campaigns outside the shores of the country. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has met in London with Andrew Mitchell, the UK Minister for Development in Africa, in the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office as he takes his campaign to London. According to a spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Management Committee, Senator Dino Melaye, Atiku will within 2 days working visit to the UK engage various government organs. And joining us later this morning to discuss Atiku's meeting with the UK officials is Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging Mike Igini, former Akwa Ibom Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. We'll be discussing pending cases in court, a total of 719 outcome of controversial party primary cases over candidates yet to be determined finally by the court, the legal threats to the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, amongst other concerns around the election. We'll also be catching up on news making headlines across the globe. Michael Wilson will give us updates on global business outlook, while Rotu Sadiri will update us with Africa business activities across the continent. We'll also review today's newspapers with Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni, while Oji Ope will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. President Muhammadu Buhari has declared that no individual or group can accuse him of corruptly enriching himself since he assumed office as a civilian president on May 29, 2015. The president, according to a statement issued yesterday by his media advisor, Mr. Femi Adesina, spoke at a banquet in his honor in Damaturu, Yobe State capital. According to the statement, Buhari said nobody could blackmail him on inexplicable wealth and illicit enrichment while in office, and that he doesn't own 1 square inch outside Nigeria, and he intends to stay in Nigeria when he retires from public office. Buhari reiterated his vow to serve God and Nigeria until his last day in office and beyond. This is coming in as the Senate President, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, has insisted that the 9th National Assembly did not operate like a rubber stamp in its collaborations with the executive. Also, President Muhammadu Buhari has asked the people of Yobe State to vote APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu, saying he would continue his legacy. The president addressed the crowd in Hausa language at the Damaturu Township Stadium during the APC presidential campaign rally today. Buhari says a vote for Tinubu and his running mate, Kashim Shettima, would guarantee the sustenance of the progress made in the security, economy, and education sectors of the country. The president vowed that following the victory against terrorists in the region, the APC-led government is more energized to defeat whoever threatens the unity of Nigeria.
Here is the party's flag that I'm giving to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his running mate. May God grant us victory.
Allah ba mu sa'a baki daya.
I promise you, love, sincerity, transparency, job for our boys, revival of agriculture, hope for the hopeless, homes for the homeless, we promise you that we are just beginning to see gradually how we can work hard together and resuscitate the economy of this country.
The Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, says Nigeria's presidential seat is too important to be used as a retirement home for older politicians. Obi said this at a town hall meeting with members of the Anambra State Traditional Rulers Council at the government house in Awka, the state capital. The Labour Party flag bearer says whoever emerges as Nigeria's president in 2023 must be equipped with the requisite knowledge to solve the current challenges facing the country. He cautioned against electing the wrong person as president.
Not productive. That is why your dollar is not working, because your dollar reserve is a function of your rate is a function of reserve. Reserve is a function of export. Because you're not producing anything, you're not doing anything, and you cannot employ labor. We have support agricultural revolution that will drive urbanization, drive processing, drive export, and will change Nigeria. Guiding everybody, let's make it work. We need a character we can make. We want somebody who is competent. We want somebody who has the capacity. We want somebody who is committed. We want somebody with compassion. And above all, remember, this job requires physical and mental energy. Not the environment.
Well, Rufai, many things to discuss this morning.
Packed up in one.
Yes.
Okay, first, let me start with the Peter Obi one. The presidency of Nigeria is a place for hard work. Nigeria needs a boots on the ground, roll up his sleeves CEO that can address the myriad of challenges we have. Debt, lack of confidence in the country because of insecurity, lack of confidence in the economy of the country. All our external Eurobond borrowing partners are beginning to look at our bonds as junk status now. You hear the analysts here yesterday say, while other countries are borrowing by less than 10%, we are borrowing a little over 10%. It is harder for us to go external borrowing now. So there's been an all-time low in confidence as regards the economy and security, with mammoth inflation rate, rising debts, and all of that. So Nigeria needs a roll-up-the-sleeve CEO, not a place for any retirement. And we need a leader in 2023 that can work, because he will need to think critically and take some very hard decisions. Some decisions that will not favor his friends. Top people in the echelons of this country have friends. I was telling somebody this morning when they asked me, what is political will? I said, political will is the capacity to be able to tell your friends when they are caught with their hands in the cookie jar that I love you as a friend, but the law will take its course. How many people can tell that to their friends? That's the kind of leader we'll need in 2023. We're paying too much subsidies. There's a high recurrent expenditure. There's a lot of things going on amiss in government and governance. Secondly, I'll move to the other story on the National Assembly not being a rubber stamp. Spare me. No pun intended. Prince Harry's book. Spare me. The National Assembly has been the most rubber stamp I have seen in recent times. In the budget alone, there are up to 5 breaches of the law. Nothing has been said by the National Assembly. The law says you can't securitize ways and means. This same National Assembly, after listening to the budget speech, said they will consider it. But probably they might have to pass in the interest of the president. It's whatever the president wants, he gets. And that's why when you look back, you missed out robust National Assembly. Lots of people say there was a cantankerous relationship, but there was robust interplay of ideas headed by Bukola Saraki. Now, it's free for all. And the National Assembly should not forget that they're supposed to be there representing us, the people.
That's right.
It is our views and aims and objectives that should be frontal. And the argument should win, but it has always been about the sentiments. So when they say they are not rubber stamp, they are not rubber stamp. Who approved all the debts? Who approved all the external borrowings? They were quick to approve everything without second guessing and say, this is not going to be in the interest of the country. And those debts now have come home to roost. We've got a big, huge 7 trillion gaping hole. And the National Assembly is very sanguine about them not being rubber stamped. You see, there are facts on ground. And one fact I've put on the ground, you could challenge me on the fact, is 5 different laws were breached in this budget alone. Securitization of ways and means. The fact that you can't go beyond the threshold of 5% to your GDP for your deficit. We've breached that. Many other things like that. Finance Act wasn't passed. This same National Assembly that says it's not a rubber stamp didn't open room for public hearing, hurriedly rushed the Finance Act to the President. Have public hearings be conducted at the will of the people. This same National Assembly, you remember what they did with electronic voting? Until the people had to voice their concerns, didn't most of their members go ahead and lie that they had no internet in their homes? One even lied so blatantly that he has no internet in his home. And I'm sure you remember the other day that we talked to Johnson Chukwu. He's from the same village with that National Assembly senator that claimed there was no internet in his home. And there's 4G. 4G in his village. So we have seen the National Assembly act like a rubber stamp. Anything the president wants, he gets. That's why he's put it towards them again. And time will tell if they will help securitize that. For President Buhari saying his legacies, voting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yeah, he can campaign for Bola Ahmed Tinubu as his candidate. But I would like to also empirically x-ray his legacies. He says he's built infrastructure. Give it to him. Infrastructure stock to GDP rose from 20% to 35%. But the question a lot of people ask is, what's been the after effect on the lives of the people? We have insecurity. We thank God 7 people have been released from the Edo debacle, but people are still in the bush. 2 train attacks in the space of a year on the same infrastructure because infrastructure was found wanting on that rail line to Kaduna. So we've had that. And then when you check the infrastructure across board, vis-a-vis the economic fecundity or the economic vitality of the people, it's a faux pas. Over 20% inflation rate. Massive levels of unemployment. For over 2 years now, the National Bureau of Statistics can't print out unemployment numbers. Do you know what that means? Cost of living on the increase. They will make arguments of Russia and Ukraine. Inflation too, they will make arguments of Europe. But the counter-argument to that is about the fact that when you look at it critically, Ayo, the border closure policy triggered inflation because inflation was about 11%. After the border was closed, inflation started trending upwards. So those are the legacies. So are these the legacies we'd like to continue? The president also says, no corruption. Yes. Like he says, he might not hold any house abroad. No corruption has been found against him. Give it to him, he's an upright man. But the question is, was corruption found in his administration? Yes. The Attorney General is one. We've had many cases with EFCC by people that have been turned to a nolle prosecute. So these are the facts on ground. And when we talk, let's talk empirically.
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. But let me just start with, from where you stopped with regards to the president promising or campaigning on the strength of his legacy. And I'm glad, obviously, I believe that his spokespeople or his team definitely watch the show because you have called for this. You said that if the president is going to campaign with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then he should speak about his legacy. He should speak on the strength of what he has done. And the 3 main areas he said he was going to speak on with regards to his legacy when he was speaking was in security, education, and the economy. And we've just broken down the economy, double-digit inflation. We're going to be having a conversation with Reuters later on, and we're going to be analyzing, or just the analysis of the budget with KPMG yesterday, dissecting that even further this morning. But let's look at security, because he boldly made the claim at the banquet in his honor, in Yobe State, in Damaturu, Yobe State, that they had degraded Boko Haram, that he had fulfilled his 2015 campaign. Recall that his administration inherited a very challenging security situation in Nigeria. We were plagued with Boko Haram, and a number of Nigerians believed his campaign promises because he's a retired general, or he's a former general. So they thought, okay, we need to tackle security. It has far-reaching consequences in the economy, quality of lives of people, and so they thought, you know what, this is the change that we need. But how has he fared since he came into power? According to statistics from the Nigeria Security Tracker, which is collated by the Council on Foreign Relations, since May 2015, when he took over, to May 2021, last year, 54,948 people have been killed by violent acts. And they've said themselves that this is a very conservative number. In fact, what you can use to judge this is how desensitized we are to news of killings. Yes. So we see another headline saying that 7 people have been killed, only 7 people, which is it is despicable, to say the least. And so in terms of security on which he's campaigning on, he hasn't quite done well. In fact, what they said is that, yes, Boko Haram, as he mentioned, has been degraded in the northeast, and some people have been able to go back to their way of life, but they've inherited other siblings. So we have banditry on the rise, we have kidnapping on the rise, we have the herdsmen-farmer clashes, we have security and violence acts on a day-to-day basis. In fact, they've become more brazen. They're attacking train lines now. They are moving to the south, away from the northeast and northwest. They're already in the south. We had the Edo incident, we just talked about it. Today we're going to be speaking about what's happened in Kaduna yesterday, over the weekend. And he's bold to say that he has tackled security. So it's either one or two things. Either the president is far removed from the reality of Nigerians, thereby he's not aware of what is going on under his administration, or he's being fed lies by his people. Because how can we talk about security challenges on almost a daily basis, and then you come out boldly to say that you have been able to tackle Boko Haram? Is he the president of the Northeast alone? Is the security situation in Nigeria only about Boko Haram? Beyond Boko Haram, there are other things that are killing Nigerians on a daily basis, which he hasn't responded to, in the way that Nigerians thought he was going to. You talk about the economy, I won't belabor that point. And we've talked about this a number of times, the strength of the economy. Education, have we not just survived an 8-month strike, ASU strike? We have an increasing number of out-of-school children. So which education legacy is the president talking about? So when we hear things like this on campaign grounds, fair enough, is this just political rhetorics, what you expect them to say? But when he comes out boldly to say authoritatively that he has done A, B, C, and unfortunately the facts prove otherwise, then it is difficult to believe the APC when they come out to say that they want to strengthen the legacy on which the current president has built. I'll end it there because of our time. But I mean, like Mr. Peter of the Labour Party said, just comment very briefly on that. Rightly said, he's reiterating what he said in Ado Ekiti last week. Last week, Thursday, during his campaign rally, he said the same thing, that the presidency is not a retirement home for over 70s. And I want to add to it, the Senate is not a retirement home for governors. Because what we've seen and has almost become the norm is that after their 4-year or 8-year tenure, they then go on to the Senate and then just pass time there until it's time to maybe, check out or finally retire from politics. And at the end of the day, the power lies in the hands of the people. The only reason why they would get back, or at least the chief reason, because the president has promised us a free, fair, and credible election, is what we do with our votes. We can no longer be on the sidelines or be apathetic to elections in Nigeria. When it is a retirement home because they come soliciting your votes and you go to the ballot and you cast your votes based on ethnicity or I know this person, I like this person, and then we complain for the next 4 years or for the next 8 years, you can see that we cannot afford to do this at the next election. We must evaluate the candidates' ability to run a nation. We said we don't need a leader, we need a CEO. We need someone that can run the economy. That is what we're looking forward to. And so we hope that Nigerians will do this at the next election. Moving on to the next story. At least 7 personnel of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps have been killed by suspected terrorists at a mining site in Kaduna State. The incident is reported to have happened on Monday morning as the Civil Defense Corps members went on an official trip to Kuriga mining site in the Benin Gwari local government area. They were reportedly ambushed and killed alongside 5 other people from a local security service. The Corps has directed that its flag be flown at half-mast and a national prayer involving both Christians and Muslims be organized at the Corps National Headquarters in Abuja.
I mean, Ayo, like you just said, this is another sad reminder. And when the president says we have done a lot as regards security, I wonder, what is he saying? Just for the records, Babagana Zulum, the governor in Borno, even still came out to say that 2 local governments are still ravaged by Boko Haram. Should we go to the farmers that were killed in Zabamari, over 100 of them, that the presidential spokesperson came out to say that it's because they didn't get permission before they can go to their farm. So we have to take security permission before we go to our farms. Farmers are no longer going to the farm because of insecurity in the north. That's why food inflation is on the increase. People are scared for their lives. Then Kaduna, we all remember how we started last year with so much attacks in Kaduna. These bandits were even so brazen that they were seen at the corridors of the airports. Planes didn't fly for so. Because the problem in Nigeria, we have selective amnesia. We forget things a lot because so much bad things have happened that we just forget. And some security personnel, remember how they told us that they were just strolling past the airport. Bandits were strolling past the airport. Also, mining sites. It's not today they've been killing people around the mining sites. Terrorists have turned the mining operations into their own. And that's why when you look at it critically, when we had the Minister of Solid Minerals talk, he openly said, we cannot afford to ensure security everywhere because terrorists have taken over most of the sites. And now commiserations to the lives of these NSCDC officials. Their only crime is that they're serving their country. And they say security has been better. And that's why I like the stats you quoted, over 54,000 deaths. I must confess to you, Ayo, that's too conservative. In Borno alone, I was seeing something on Stats Sense that was saying that in Borno alone, we had over 35,000 deaths. In Borno alone, since all of this started. But what has been our approach? Are we not the ones welcoming back these terrorists under Operation Suluhu? We are even giving them ashwebi and jollof rice. So what do we want for our country? Do we want it to be great like it is? The way we can build a country that is great and will stand the test of time is by telling ourselves the truth about our challenges, not sugarcoating it. Because when you sugarcoat it, because it doesn't favor your government, then you forget in a hurry that what goes around comes around. That's why we lead leaders, not politicians. You might get into the position of leadership through being a politician. But once you become a leader, you cease to be a politician. A leader thinks of the betterment of his country and the next generation. A politician thinks of the next elections. You must see beyond election winning and all the shenanigans and attacking the press and abusing journalists, but focus on building a country. I'll submit to you, this country is the best kept secret in the world. It has the capacity to be great, but our leaders must stand up, strap up their boots, and put on their table the buck stops with me. And if Nigeria fails, I fail as a leader.
Thank you for talking about leadership, Rufai, because when we look at the security architecture of our nature and the failure of security, it is down to leadership largely. So we've normalized a lot of things that should be abomination. Yes. You talked about the bandits, the explanation of the bandits by the airport saying that they were just strolling. How? Well, in what world, in what sane country do you hear things like that? But these are the normal things that we read and we flip our papers or we scroll through and it becomes normal to us. In the same vein, what happened in Kaduna is just ridiculous. just totally ridiculous. So what they've said is that, according to reports, by the way, as at the reports, Kaduna State Police hadn't come out to either deny or confirm. They've kept quiet, as unfortunately, oftentimes they do. And what they said was that this was a reprisal attack. So the NSCDC had killed a boy that looked after the cattle of the bandits. So imagine what we're talking about, that there's a boy that looks after bandits, and they killed him. And so following this, so it's been a few days before this incident happened on Monday, and they came and then they killed some of the NSCDC officials as well as other people in the area. Again, Kaduna, this is not the first time in Kaduna, and in that area it's notorious for attacks like this. It begs to believe why we haven't had a conclusive dealings with these criminals. So when the president comes out to say that he has dealt with his security, he's given himself a pass mark on security, you begin to wonder again, like I mentioned, if he's in touch. Does he read the newspaper? Is he briefed? Does he get daily briefings about what is happening? Or has this become so normal that, okay, only 7 this time, it's not that many. At least we said 35,000 in Borno over time, so we haven't read those numbers. When are we going to see this as a critical situation that must receive critical attention and not just be politicized? So this has happened in Kaduna. We haven't heard anything with regards to arrests or people being apprehended. We haven't heard anything with regards to a full investigation being done and the reports from this investigation. We don't know if this is going to happen. And so, I don't blame your response, because that is what Nigerians have gotten used to in terms of responses to attacks like this. Like you mentioned, RIP to the dead. In line of service, they've been killed. Another set of people in office, in uniform, that have been failed by the Nigerian state. I look forward to hearing to what the Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, would say to this, and beyond his speech, what he would do to ensure that his people enjoy peace and security at this time. Well, that's all on the news headlines. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson and Rotu Sodiri give us updates on global and African business activities. Stay with us.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, we vote. Is the answer. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Vote is the answer. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business, we vote. By Polaris Bank.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer.
Yesterday, I got a call from Glow. I won a 3-bedroom bungalow.
Yes, guys! Guess what? I won a car. I won a generator by participating in the Festival of Joy promo by Glow.
Hey, Glow don't do this one for me. Glow to make instead to me with sewing machine.
I won generator last year. This year I won for
It's a celebration like no other, with prizes like no other. 20 new houses to be won, 24 brand new cars, 200 sewing machines, 100 generators, 1,000 rechargeable fans. Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# now.
All right, welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. It's now time to take a look for Global Business Update. Michael Wilson joins us from Cape Town, South Africa. Great to have you, Michael. How are you? Morning.
Morning. Yes, Asia Pacific. There is this slight feeling now that given the chairman of the Fed didn't say a great deal yesterday about the direction of interest rates and wasn't really expected to. However, Asia markets have taken it upon themselves to assume a Fed trajectory after 7 interest rate rises in 2022 of a slightly shallower rise in interest rates in 2023. Nikkei's up about 1%, China up marginally. South Korea is hitting back at claims, particularly from China, that their COVID entrance rules are discriminatory. They're saying that half of their imported cases of COVID are from China, and it's gone up 14 times since November. Policies are also, though, against people coming in from what they describe as all Korean and non-Korean nationals. So it's not just travellers from China who are being asked to provide negative COVID tests. The World Bank, a big cut to its 2023 growth outlook. It's gone from 3 to 1.7%. Just some of the major economies that may interest you. The United States, they feel their original target for GDP growth was 2.4% in 2023. Now it's 0.5%, and the EU 1.5% was their original target, now down to 0.1% for 2023. I'm going to bracket the IMF in with the World Bank. This is some breaking news. The IMF has refused to appear before a UK cross-party committee to discuss its comments on that Truss Kwarteng mini budget, which it criticised so dramatically. The chairperson of that has actually been asking the IMF to come forward and give some of their reasoning. So far, they've refused to do it. As far as the United States is concerned, stock futures, very little changed today. NASDAQ, its third winning day of the new trading year. There's a feeling that a lower dollar also is about to break its way into the world, which will mean that emerging economies become investable again. As I say, Jay Powell didn't say a great deal. He was talking to the Swedish bank Riksbank yesterday, and all he said was, as you'd expect him to say, and I quote, "Price stability is the bedrock of a healthy economy." So, in other words, no clues about where interest rates are actually headed, but just a reiteration of his general position there. The Republican-led House, the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, as his first bit of legislation is going to be bipartisan. It's being seen as a bit of a triumph, given the way there's been a lot of political infighting in the United States. And this is directed against further Chinese influence as far as imports are concerned into the country. And if you remember, I was telling you yesterday that Dell is one of the companies that is now saying that it will abandon its China-originated chips and start to use chips which are made in the United States. Elon Musk has hit the record books for something he won't particularly be very happy about. His record 182 billion lack of or reduction in personal wealth is dwarfing the previous one, which is in 2000, which was a Japanese gentleman who lost $58.6 billion. But Elon Musk has lost $182 billion, and even the Guinness Book of Records is now saying it is actually very difficult to understand exactly how much it is because of various complications within the private company itself. Coinbase, 20% cut in the workforce. Coinbase, as you probably know, is a crypto exchange. They're cutting 930 out of 4,700 globally. They already cut 18% in September, and it won't have escaped your attention. I was talking about it yesterday. Goldman are more or less confirming that they're going to lay off about 3,000 people, but because of things getting worse in the coming year. However, I would also draw your attention to the bank's big bank reporting season coming up, starting on Friday, and we'll see how the banks expect to deal with higher interest rates then. They've obviously been able to charge more for their loans, but not paid depositors as much. That's why they've been making their money. That may change. EU, now now, here's a good one for you. This is the land of La Lunch. This is France, and he's raised the... Macron was originally wanting to raise the retirement age to 65. He's since pulled back on that. Now it's 64. He wants to bring that in by 2030. The unions are naturally saying that this is appalling and they won't stand for it. And France now spends 14% of its GDP on pensions. That's above the EU average, which is about 12%. So many battles ahead as far as France is concerned. To the UK, and it won't surprise you to learn that the Treasury is thinking about, it was taking further down the line its discussions about a digital pound cryptocurrency, part of its commitment to become a world crypto hub. Remember, this is not Bitcoin. This is something which is actually called a stable coin, and it will be backed by other currencies or gold. So it doesn't really get into the Bitcoin arena at the moment, but it's certainly something which the UK Treasury, Bank of England and other central banks are considering around the world. UK, Amazon has laid off 1,200 jobs as it's closing 3 warehouses, or plans to close 3 warehouses in the UK. Goes very much along with 18,000 jobs going from Amazon globally, which I brought to your attention last week. The UK is... The UK, I'm going to talk about British Volt. Now, this is an important one. This is a gigafactory which is based in the north of England, in Northumberland. It's not attracting government investment until it gets some investment of its own. It's currently in talks with an Indonesian connected but UK-based investment fund for £160 million. As soon as it gets that, then it will start to get more money and it will start to enter the race for providing batteries. And some breaking news from the UK just before I hit the oil price. UK's Twitter, the UK Twitter department, now it's been hit with legal challenge from UK staff. 43 of its 180 staffers are protesting about the way in which they were laid off from Twitter. And remember, the reason I mention this is because this is part of a global scene. It's facing 200 legal complaints in the US and 4 class action lawsuits. And finally, oil, slightly better overnight, given that it's expected that global demand will increase. China will probably increase as well. And also a belief that OPEC Plus, when it meets this month, will do whatever it can to support the oil price. That is the global view this morning.
All right, real quickly. At first, I'd like to bring to your notice what is happening in the UK as regards His Majesty's revenues, saying that there have been some revenue shortfalls on taxation and they've not collected about £42 billion sterling in taxation that is just left like that because of the processes of collecting tax money in the UK. What would you like to say about that? Number 2 will be about what is happening, this wave of job losses worldwide, from the banks to Amazon and everything, recession breathing down, and also what is happening in France. Do you think Macron stands a chance, or will the unions, be ready for another Gilets jaunes-esque, if I may use that word, protests on the streets of France, because they're not buying this, increasing retirement rate, and also, he's sweetened up the deal a little bit. He's put about It's raised the benchmark retirement pension rate monthly from about 900 to about 1,200 euros, but they are still not buying this, and all of this happening at the same time.
I think Macron will have a very, very tough job indeed. As you rightly observe, it was going to be 65. Now it's down to 64, the retirement age, and they spend a huge amount, 14%, well above the EU average on their state pensions. This is the country that brought us the get out of the factory and go for a lunch break in the late 19th century. I mean that's what it was all about then, and this is something which is not going to be broken. The French for can't be bothered, I mean, is something that you'll find a lot of people trying to work out, as they can't raise anybody at the weekends, they can't raise anybody over the lunch hour to work. This is a country which is used to fat pensions, well supplied by the tax take, and Macron will have his work cut out completely to do that. I think there will be considerable battles ahead. As far as world layoffs are concerned, yes, I mean, I would point you towards Amazon. I point you towards Amazon in the UK, point you towards other countries, Goldman Sachs as well. I mean, what we appear to be facing in 2023 is a global recession, and because consumers are expected to spend less and therefore investment banking will suffer and consumer banking will also suffer as well as a result of this recession. This is what the layoffs are all about. I mean, we can count them up, but I suspect we won't really know where 2023 is headed until we more or less say goodbye to it, which often happens, doesn't it, in these economic times.
All right, let me stay in the UK first before moving on to China. So I thought you would give us some updates on Prince Harry's sale of the book Spare. According to reports, according to The Guardian, it says that it's the fastest selling book in the UK, selling 40,000 copies already, and I would imagine obviously people's interest in wanting to read the details of his memoirs, and also of course the responses by the British media, which has been largely quiet, but a few people have spoken out around the world. It'd be good to get your take on that. And then of course in China, going to China, beyond the COVID restrictions dealing with South Korea and in retaliatory restrictions, also the fact that they're saying that the population is at one of its lowest for decades, as there have been more deaths and less births, and of course the impact on the economy, on the China economy. What's your view on this?
400,000 books actually is what is being quoted for the Harry memoir. You won't find a copy of that in the Wilson household, and I think we've probably had enough, but it is selling very fast indeed. The fastest non-fiction book sales. It's dwarfed by Harry Potter, the most recent Harry Potter, which was in as it was sold, but that's fiction. We're talking about non-fiction. Yes, I mean, it depends where you go. I think, I'm not exactly sure about these figures. They are being quoted quite widely, and yet I have a friend who is a royal correspondent who went to his local supermarket and found it discounted more than the 50% that it actually is being discounted at major suppliers like Waterstones. As far as the content's concerned, well, dream on. I mean, he's being seen by many people as the Ginger Whinger. And what people here, what people rather in the UK tend to think about royalty is never explain, never complain. End of story as far as that's concerned. I'm sure it's got it will continue to have a lot of media attention around the world. Again, you won't find a copy of it in my household. Really, I'm not interested. As far as layoffs are concerned, and particularly as far as COVID is concerned, I'm not sure about the population of China reducing. I think the working population of China is actually reducing, and they are experiencing what most developing countries have to deal with these days, which is an increase in older people having to live off the state, having to live on pensions, and being supported by a diminishing working population. Some people are saying that the reason that anti-COVID is reducing the population there, and the lockdown did its work on that, is some kind of scheme by the Communist Party to reduce the population of China and to make it more affordable. I mean, you can take those conspiracy theories and run with them should you wish. All I can see is that I think countries around the world are trying to work out, one, whether there is a threat from imported COVID from China, and number two, that are probably heartened by the fact that both Moderna and Pfizer are saying that they are talking to China about vaccines, and they can start producing vaccines within China, should China so wish, within a few months. I think that's the way forward on that particular subject.
Well, thank you very much, Michael Wilson, for bringing us the Global Business Update this morning. We'll now move on to the African Business Update, and we have Rota Sadiri with us to discuss. Good morning,
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers. Going well. So we had a pretty, big day yesterday, budget day, Rise TV and KPMG, taking a look at Nigeria's 2023 budget, what it means for you as watching, as an individual, businesses, and the macroeconomy as a whole. It was myself and Rolake Akinkube Filani that co-anchored this event with a number of executives from KPMG, representatives from the government. Let's take a look at some of the highlights.
It's a 21.8 trillion naira budget. It's significant because it's a transition year budget. What this means is that the administration that has put in place this budget is not the same administration that will be seeing it through to the end of the year. It's also significant because it's a deficit budget, an 11.3 trillion naira deficit. So our country, Nigeria, has a revenue problem. Now, when we drill down into the revenues, it's good to note that non-oil revenues exceed our oil revenues. This speaks to diversification, but on the other hand, it also speaks to some extent to the underperformance of the oil and gas sector.
When people looks at the budget, what's in it for me is think more holistically. So for instance, this budget plans to spend nearly 3 trillion on security. Is that for me and you? Yes, it is. Because some of us may live in parts of the country where the security threat is not that imminent, and so we do not appreciate the value of the cost of insecurity. But the expenditure to secure the country is for you and I, it's for everyone. The expenditure on healthcare is for everyone. I mean, you may not need it, you may not need public facilities, but there are people who do, including some of the staff who work for you.
The budget looks to me to be rather optimistic. Okay. Let me put it like that. Yeah. To expect revenue, last year, 2022, revenue increased by 1 trillion, from 6 trillion in 2021 to 7 trillion in 2022. 7 trillion is the peak revenue performance of this administration in 8 years, as a matter of Nigeria's peak revenue in history, in Naira terms. Not to mention the fact that if you correct that 7 trillion for devaluation, it's probably less, much less than the 4 trillion, 5 trillion that we were doing.
Oil demand has obviously tanked a bit, let's be serious. There's a global energy transition going on. How do you see global dynamics really increasing the sense of urgency around incentivizing the local business environment?
There needs to be a drive for productivity in this economy. We need to start finding ways to drive production, which means investment coming in and some form of mechanics to drive that. From our perspective at NESG, we've continually held dialogue with government about how they need to start seeing the drive for low interest rates as a mechanism for ensuring productive investment. Like you want investment in manufacturing. We talked about you need all of that, but in an interest rate environment that's high, that continues to get more and more difficult. And unless you address the inflation issue, right, you cannot address directly the interest rate issue. So government needs to focus radically on inflation as it is. Today we're talking about 21% inflation.
On behalf of the chairman of This Day Arise Group, Prince Nduka Obagbena, CON, I want to thank everybody who have made this possible. Budget Day 2023 is not going to be the last. There will be more budget days to come. The conversation we have started here, it will definitely continue, not ending with this program. We want to thank the DG, the Director General of the Budget Office, Dr. Ben Akabweze, for finding time to come and shed more light on the gray areas of Budget 2023. Of course, the conversation will continue. It will get more robust as implementation continues, because you have supplementary budgets just signed into law. Budget 2022 extended by 3 months, 2023 budget. So as you implement, it has to be effective. The conversation will get more robust. I'm sure Dr. Bena Kabwizi will be ready at any point to shed more light. And I want to thank KPMG, Tola, Adeyemi, and all the eggheads at the KPMG Towers who are putting their brains to work for businesses, for clients, and for country.
All right, so yeah, so pretty, eventful day as far as that was concerned. So yeah, those were some of the highlights. And we'll be replaying a lot of what took place on the Global Business Report and throughout the day. On less optimistic news, we're back to, even though the budget itself wasn't very optimistic, but the global economic prospects, the World Bank just put this out yesterday. And, Nigeria, as far as sub-Saharan Africa is concerned, you can look through the estimates and forecasts there. Optimistic for sub-Saharan Africa, 3.4% growth is where, let me start from 2020. COVID, recession, everybody in that column there was the contraction. 2021, you see the rebound for sub-Saharan Africa, commodity prices and so on. Estimates is 3.4, so there's a slowdown, war in Ukraine. Then you're seeing 3.6 for 2023, 3.9 for 2024. Nigeria, though, you can see a slowdown, 2.9%. They talked about the floods and how they impacted the agricultural sector last year. That is the World Bank. They talked about public finances, which was something that was heavily discussed at the Arise TV KPMG budget day yesterday in terms of how restricted our finances are due to subsidies. And so you can see that for 2023, we were forecast to slow down to 2.9 and 2024, 2.9. Even that 3.1 that the World Bank is estimating for us, maybe we touch, I don't know if we'll do 2.6, 2.7. I don't even know if we'll do 3.1, but we'll see how that works out. South Africa, you can see even worse than Nigeria. 6% contraction in 2020. They rebounded to 4.9. The mining sector was part of that rebound for South Africa. Hello, Nigeria and your mineral resources. But then, look at that, 1.9% growth 2022, 1.4% 2023, 1.8. Eskom, I saw an article that said that if you tied If electricity generation was the only metric that you use for economic growth in South Africa's economy has collapsed. Eskom, I heard they just poisoned the former CEO as he was leaving or something like that. Eskom is a corrupt mess, and South Africa is just, they are trying to rebound, but until they sort out Eskom, because South Africa Airways and their debt issues and a number of other things that are going on there. Angola, from the chart, you can see they rebounded thanks to higher oil prices, but they still got some issues as far as inflation is germane to everyone here. So inflationary pressure is still pretty high. Remember, the World Bank said inflation pushed 5 million Nigerians into poverty. I think that even overlapped with COVID, where COVID pushed. They said it was 7 million, but between COVID and inflation, you've got almost 7 million people falling. And with the government's plans to pull 100 million people out of poverty, that's just in the near term not going to happen. Now, for Nigeria, the next leadership that comes in, when whoever wins and is sworn in May, that president has a 30-day window with respect to what to do about fuel subsidies. So essentially, it's a deadline, a 30-day deadline on what to do with respect to the subsidy, because as we talked about on the budget day yesterday, the Arise TV KPMG budget day, subsidies are supposed to end in June of this year, and there's a budget allocation of 3.3 trillion. So this is how serious we will know, whoever becomes president, we will know how serious that person is, because they will either yank off or allow the subsidies to elapse, and then you will see the resulting impact on fuel prices, or because of what, you're just coming in. I don't know how, honestly, we're pretty divided now. I don't know, whoever wins probably won't have that much political capital, but the impact on price is going to be serious. So with respect to putting a cabinet together quickly, we will know how serious this new president is if they allow the subsidies to go and then maybe move the funds around. And then President Buhari, I know he was talking within the context of him being clean. He said that he has no investments overseas. All his investments are here in Nigeria. And I thought from a portfolio allocation perspective, if you were to if you were to hold 100% Naira assets and not hold anything overseas, then your investment returns are going to take a big blow. So from a personal finance perspective, for anyone who saw or heard the president talk about how, I guess he's clean, doesn't hold any assets, he just got his farm in Daura and that's it. You want to diversify, right? You want to hold securities overseas, you want to hold, all the foreign exchange and all these other assets to allow you to protect your purchasing power when inflation, as I just mentioned, hammers your naira earnings. So I just thought that was interesting. With the president saying he owns no Naira. He's like, all I own is in Nigeria. I don't own any foreign asset. That was very interesting.
That was interesting. But it just shows the stark reality here that inflation is even just cutting through your purchasing power, destroying your purchasing power. The Naira in your hand is good as you're getting worthless every day. But Rotus, let me come back. I'll talk about that chart you put up. Do not compare Nigeria with Angola.
You can see the growth. We're doing better though, as far as the World Bank's forecast.
Don't compare Nigeria with Angola. And I'll tell you why. Angola gets proceeds from oil just like us. We're seeing what they're doing with their oil money.
Paying down debt.
Inflation is 7% in Angola. The kwacha is one of the best performing currencies in the African. Guess what he gained against the dollar?
10%.
Not 10%.
It was 10 last year.
23% now.
Year to date?
Yes.
Okay, well last year was about 10. So double digit either way.
Double digit against the dollar. And it keeps gaining and it keeps doing well. Are we not an oil producing economy?
We are.
But because of oil theft, we've creamed away our wealth. Now we act brand new every time like we don't know what is going on. Now we're beginning to find our way back up. 1.2 million barrels per day, good. We've not still hit the OPEC quota. Don't compare us with South Africa. South Africa has a lot of its problem. But we can see the mining sector, what it's doing for South Africa. We have that potential too in mining here that we have not harnessed. So when you look at it, the economic rebound South Africa is having is because of the mining sector. Look at other countries in the world, they are doing well. Saudi Arabia, from the proceeds of this Ukraine war, wants to build a new city.
That's true.
This is the first time wars don't favor Nigeria. I keep talking about Yom Kippur War favored Nigeria. Gulf War in 92 favored Nigeria. You remember that's when we set up DIFRI.
That's correct.
To start doing infrastructure and all of that. That was when we started up PTF. So we see that we're falling through the cracks. And as for South Africa and ESCOM, it just shows what bad management can do. Do you know at a point, ESCOM was a poster child for everything good managerially in a company. It was so good that they were, as of 1994, producing little as much power, or even I think more than, I don't have that fact empirically, I read it somewhere in The Economist, and they were producing as much or closer to the number of power that South Korea was churning out. But all of a sudden, ESCOM went down the drain. And that's to show you what bad management does. And Nigeria has now become a poster child of what bad management does to a country.
True. Got to turn it around.
Well, thanks, Rotus. Just to go to the World Bank, the federal government of Nigeria in recent times haven't been very happy with World Bank projections, and for obvious reasons. Now, during the budget defense and presentation, the Minister of Finance, Ms. Zainab Ahmed, had said that the projections of GDP growth rates on which the budget was hinged is 3.75%. World Bank is saying it's 2.9%. IMF said it was 3% for 2023. What's the implication of this on our budget and the financing of the budget?
If you don't grow enough and you don't grow your revenues, you heard Ira Teriba now saying that the revenue projections are incredibly optimistic. The implications are if you do not grow enough, then your revenues are not going to grow enough, and you're not going to be able to finance your budget. So
it means that the budget is not. We have a revenue problem with this budget.
Big revenue problem.
Already, in terms of the deficit, there's a huge deficit. To talk about borrowing plans to fund the budget, and now even the parameters on which it's hinged is not quite accurate. Well, Nigeria, there you go. We look forward to how.
Look, next month, votes, everybody. By the way, PVC collections they've started, right?
Yes.
So,
they're about to close. We're ending it on the 22nd.
Exactly. So go collect yours and pick them up and all that good stuff. And
I don't envy the next administration, the next government. You have a tough work on your hands with regards to the economy. Well, thank you very much,
Thank you so much.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we shall be talking to Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. Stay with us.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
My brother, my sister, do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states, plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state to be governor. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow.
This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Set to take the African continent and the world by storm. They are giants in every sense of the word, and they will bring entertainment that's just as big. Don't miss the first ever season of Big Brother Titans with two African giants, Niger and Nsamse, under Biggie's roof together. Big Brother Titans starts on Sunday, 15th of January on DSTV 198, GoTV 29, and Africa Magic. Headline sponsor, Bamboo, Flutterwave, and Lotto Star.
Welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. As we approach the 2023 presidential elections, seeking to replace President Muhammadu Buhari are stepping up. Those seeking are stepping up their campaigns, I should say, not just in Nigeria but also the shores of the country. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has taken his campaign to London, where he met with British officials. He was accompanied on a visit by a retinue of political associates and aid, including Chief Raymond Dokpesi, House Leader, Minority Leader under Belu, Senator Dino Melaye, Reno Mokri, and Timi Frank, amongst others. In a tweet, Atiku shared the photos of the meeting, saying it was an opportunity for them to share his vision for Nigeria. So joining us on the morning show to discuss the meeting with the British government is Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Council. Welcome to the show once again, Daniel, and it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I would like you to tell us about these meetings and how they are going to help us with our 77 trillion deficit in the economy.
Good morning, Mr. Rufai. In fact, I thought to myself that I know you're going to ask about the 70 trillion debt, and unfortunately that didn't come up for reasons I don't know, but economy came up, and I'm sure that how to pay off the 70 trillion must fall under economy. And when the issue of economy came up, Atiku Abubakar emphatically and very strongly reiterated the commitment of the People's Democratic Party, and via his manifesto, the commitment he has to ensure that we get our economy back. But I can tell you, and this is not part of what was discussed yesterday, that part of what we intend to do with the debt is to look at how, when we come on board, we'll have a sit down with the debt manager or debt owners and make them understand the situation that we're in, and probably negotiate to see if we can have, in some cases, the debt service suspension for about a year or two, and then where necessary, we can get probably debt reduction or cancellation. Whatever is the case, the same principle that applied in 1999 when they came on board, and we had that debt, they had to go around the world to tell them, look, this is a serious government. And if you can look at our manifesto, if you believe that the blueprint for economic recovery in our manifesto is one that you can have confidence in, then you may consider debt cancellation, debt reduction, or recalculation of the services. But the other issues that were discussed at the meeting, and quite frankly, touched on the healthcare, for example. Primary healthcare was the main issue that was raised, because, of course, you will agree with me, that in Nigeria today, secondary healthcare and then tertiary healthcare, or whatever the nomenclature is, does not have so much of a problem as the primary healthcare. Imagine diseases, displaced persons, mortality, infant mortality, and the rest. So it was discussed on how the British people or the British government can collaborate with Nigeria in dealing with that. They talked about immigration. The British officials raised concern about immigration of Nigerians into the United Kingdom, and they asked the question, what will the posture of the government be should he win election, when they will have to bring back Nigerians who, for obvious reasons, will have to be, sent back from the UK. He made it clear to them that Nigeria's national security interest is the interest of its citizens. But he also told them that when you are sending the bad guys, remember we have quite a number of good guys that go to your economy, and you make it conducive and convenient for them to go. So it will be nice if you can partner with us to keep those indicators, those variables that make them, in fact, Atiku Abubakar classified that as push and pull factor. So the push factors are those things happening in Nigeria that tend to push people out of the country. Insecurity is one, economic problem is the other. Safety, lack of safety in the workplace environment is also one of those. And he believes that by our policy, we intend to create that environment that will make working in Nigeria not just attractive, but fulfilling, and that the Nigerian people can find a future. And that he called upon the British government to participate by collaborating with us to ensure that they don't take our good guys. They help us in strengthening the institution that will keep the good guys. With respect to democratic values, he told them right off the cuff that, look, part of the push is that when people do not have confidence in the outcome of election, then people will not participate. Then people will not trust the government. Then people will take laws into their hands. And then you have this cyclical effect. And building democratic ideals and democratic processes in Nigeria is key, but they must not close their eyes to the role they can play in strengthening that. And he made the case that from 1999 to 2007, People's Democratic Party government helped in establishing certain institutions that are so far, strengthening our democracy. And this is what is committed to doing if they can get collaboration. And then, of course, they raised concern about the West African sub-region, the terrorism and the insecurity in those areas. Okay. He said that is part of his commitment.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, real quickly, I have a follow-up on the debt issue. The debt is broken in two folds. We've got 22 trillion now in ways and means. That was printed, all right? And the federal government is trying to securitize that now against the laws of the CBN Act, Section 38. What's the candidate's view as regards securitization, and what will he do with that 22 trillion naira debt?
So first of all, I haven't had a personal conversation on this development, but I know well enough from the manifesto and from his various engagement certain things he does not believe in, before I come to the ways and means. For example, he said he doesn't believe in multiple exchange rate and that from day one, he's going to end that. He talked about, subsidy that is going to commence the process that will lead up to the removal of the subsidy. Now, with what you have mentioned specifically, I believe is a case that you will have to deal with when you study the situation as of today. When you are not in government, it is very, very difficult for you to know the nitty-gritties of how we come about where we are, especially with ways and means and some of this debt you're talking about. But you may have seen in the past few days, I think about a week ago, the news shared in social media that he has constituted an economic team to look into the situation that we're confronted with and advise on how we can hit the ground running from day one. And he has expressed concern in that regard. But you must know, Mr. Rufai, that this APC-led government on many occasions have turned away from regulations that govern processes and procedure, especially with respect to the activities of the central bank. They have taken us to the abyss at the moment. And therefore, no matter what you do and no matter the strategy you come up with, we believe in rules and regulation and due process of law. We are going to abide by the provisions of the CBN Act. Where there is a need for a reform, we are going to make recommendation for a reform. But certainly, we are not going to toe on the part of the APC-led government in this abuse of the CBN Act just because they want to rally around, print money, and do all of that to cushion the effect of recession that we are obviously facing at the moment.
All right, Ms. Bwala. So we were very interested in the wins from the meeting, your presidential candidates meeting with the British government. I mean, prior to his invitation, the British government had hosted the candidates of the Labour Party and of the APC. So it'd be great to see what your candidate, Waziri Atiku Abubakar, has brought out, in addition to all the things you said earlier. But before we delve into that, Nigerians are very interested. Your candidate was in Dubai just before he went to England, went to London. From the 1st of January, he was in Dubai, and he hasn't yet been in Nigeria. People are looking for him on the campaign grounds, as we have only about 45 days to the presidential election. One would assume that he would be hard on the trail of the campaigns. I'd like to ask you, is this what Nigerians should expect? Should he become the president, whereby he'd be out of the country, particularly in Dubai or in London?
Okay, actually, we were the first political party to commence campaign. In fact, beginning with constitution of the campaign council and the commencement of the campaign. And within a short period, we covered quite a number of places. And we've broken our campaign approaches to campaigns in rallies, campaigns via town halls, campaigns via consultation. And but you must remember also that we are guided by our own calendar and not the calendar of another political party. And based on our calendar, you would have noticed that from 17 or that, from 21st or thereabout, we had a holiday. And it is this period that he took time off to be away and reflect, and refresh again. In campaigns, and we must also promote that, where you retreat once in a while to re-energize, reinvigorate yourself and refresh yourself with ideas on how you can go forward. During holiday, anybody has the right to go anywhere in the world that he wishes to go for holiday. I mean, I came to England. I'm in England on holiday. But the campaign is constituted by not just the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate has been on ground also engaging. Then you have campaign officers. And in the introduction that Mr. Rufai gave, I think he omitted probably to mention the fact that part of the delegation also constituted by Governor Tambuwal, Governor Obaseki, Governor Udom, and the likes of others, Saraki and the rest. I think he mentioned Saraki in the team and in the delegation. So in a nutshell, we have been setting the pace. We have been ahead in all of the campaign processes. And because we started out early, it afforded us the luxury of having the presidential candidates spend a bit of time outside of the country. However, you must notice that even the engagement in London at the moment is still part of our campaign activities leading up to election. I'm not sure that the Labour Party candidate or the APC candidate has engaged with the British officers at this level. But I can tell for us that we engage with them. In fact, separate meetings, about 8 separate meetings we've had with the British officers on this wide range of issues. We believe that we have serious problem confronting us as a country. So we must go beyond these primordial activities of, going around, like I was telling somebody, he said, why is your candidate not in the Chatham House? I said, the Chatham House is a building. The Royal Institute of International Affairs used to be an intellectual engagement forum where you have people around the world engage very robustly. And anytime you have a program like that, the world is represented because it is believed that you go there to speak to the world. But lately, it has been bastardized by Africans. When they go, you will see Africans from whichever part of Africa meeting up with Africans in London, filling up the space that is not covered by the media. There's no representation of any foreign government there. So it's like you move out of the country to just go and rent a venue and have activities and then come back. We felt that these people will not see you as a serious person unless you engage with them on real stuff, like what Rufai raised earlier, on the debt. This is what you will be confronted with as you take the oath of office. It's not going to wait for you. So what are you going to do about it? What is your plan? How do you intend to push? Do you think that there is need for collaboration with the debt managers or debt owners? These are the real stuff that we believe we should be engaging, so that when you take the oath of office, like the way I heard Rufai said, I think either yesterday or day before yesterday, that look, Nigeria is already in problem. No person that wins elections should begin to then refer back and say, we found a problem, we found you hit the ground. That's the reason you have voted and moved. So because you cannot afford the luxury of excuses, then you must face real stuff and be very serious about your engagement with international partners.
Okay, still speaking about the issues, it's a very dire time for Nigeria, Mr. Bwala. We have inflation that is over 17-year high. You know, when we say this in business and economic terms, it dwarfs the fact that what it means is that in 17 years, we've not had inflation this high. Over 21% now and counting. And the value of our currency is eroding. So you said something I'd like to get some feedback on. You said the president, you said that your candidate, I should say, Atiku Abubakar, would not keep aiding the currency as we know that it is now. That's why we have multiple exchange rates. That's why we have, 465 somewhere, but when you get to the real market, it's 7 something. So there's going to be a unified exchange rates. If he does that, what are going to be the implications? And how is he going to fight inflation that is already raging as we speak?
Right. So this is a belief. If you look at the government of APC in the last 7 years, there are key indicators to the reason why we arrive at where we are today. One is incoherent policies. This type of incoherent policies tend to confuse investors, even if they are Nigerian domestic investors, not to talk of foreign investors that we dearly, we crave for them to come and bring in, forex into our economy in order to strengthen the economy. So when you have incoherent policies, what happens is that investors tend to be confused. And so nobody wants to take the risk because there is no assurances that the risk management can be cushioned by policies of government. So you are not able to decipher what exactly the government is all about. And that is why, if you have noticed, in the last 1 or 2 years, we have even foreign companies operating in Nigeria rounding up and selling off their assets to fly out of the country. You have seen what we have also faced in the aviation industry, where even foreign airlines that legitimately raise their money through payment of tickets and charges and surcharge and all that, they are unable to recoup, to get back the money they deposited, not that they transacted with the government. That's why you also found that the government and the APC came to a point where they issued a policy guideline that, in fact, if you have your money deposited, but you haven't used it for 7 months, they are going to, take the money and invest. That's why you see also, even when they introduced the agricultural policy and they said we have food sufficiency in the country, but there is no concomitant effect, because one of the proofs of food sufficiency is that the prices of the item in the market will be stabilized, or even you have low prices. So rice, which they boast about, you found out that even with the quote-unquote subsidy on rice, because they gave us seedlings and certain subsidies to them, yet rice as of December was about 50 or 52,000 naira to it. So incoherent policy is one. We will reverse that. Our policy guidelines are policy issue, our document is quite clear. So, and our intention is for whoever wants to invest to look at it on the first value and see to yourself whether this type of policy will promote private participation. Inflation is also caused by when the economy is not stimulated, means that the citizens are not participating in the economy. And how can the citizen participate in the economy where, for example, there are no incentives for people to participate privately, whether at the small or medium scale, or at the substantially large scale or a massive scale of collaboration with foreign companies? So these are some of the problems. Our intention is to reverse it. And the ways by which we intend to reverse it is clearly spelled out. Atiku said, upon assumption of office, he's committed to raising the $10 billion as a carrying capital to invest now in small and medium enterprises and make sure that the youth participate in the economy. And he said that the way by which he will achieve that is to get a consultants, consortium of firms. Let us say right off the cuff that dollar will always find its way wherever the investment opportunities are there. Like I said the other time on your show, that even if you have never been to the United States of America, if you get the gist that Apple shares are on sale and there is return on investment, without having a visa, if you have your way, you will invest, and yet you live in Nigeria, not to talk of people who are all over Africa looking for investment opportunities. So we want to create that environment that will attract investment. Incentive is key. Private sector participation is key.
Okay, I mean, you said $10 billion. Have you checked recently what the government revenue is? How is it going to raise that money? And also benchmark that with what we've been making in FDIs. How is it going to raise that $10 billion when the governmental revenue is at an all-time low and FDIs, you say it's going to call in consultants. What are they going to do? Where's the money going to come from?
So the consultants can come in by way of investment opportunities, that if you can give this amount to us, it's just like a trust, right? If you can give this amount to us over a period of this and this, your investment in this country will get certain incentives. Because he has talked about incentivizing, I don't know the right word to say, incentivizing or incentivizing. I don't know the pronunciation.
Incentivizing.
Incentivizing. Don't mind the village man from Borno. So he talked about incentivizing, right? Once investors are confident that, for example, let's say in public-private participation partnership, once the private sector investors are confident that over a period of time, they will have their return on investment. Like I said earlier, they will be willing to bring. So he is not intended. He also talked about, for example, the privatization of the NNPC. If you privatize NNPC at this point, I'm sure you are sure to get close to 4 to 5 billion, assuming. But then again, you have other investors, domestic investors. You have capital in the country that is just hovering without specific fixation on a particular project. So once the people have confidence in your government, I'm telling you, private sectors can come together and pull the capital together, in addition to privatization of certain assets of government that are moribund or that are ineffective. This is what it intends to do.
Okay, so talking about revenue, as Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio is at its all-time high. Now, I'd like you to speak to subsidy. I know we've asked your candidate a number of times, and it's not quite clear because come May 2023, if your candidate does become president, you'll have a difficult decision to make. That is to take out subsidy or to continue to fund subsidy. I'd like to get your clear position on this morning. In addition to that, I'd like you to also speak on security. Yesterday, the president was speaking in Yobe, and he was talking about how his administration had degraded Boko Haram in the Northeast. I'm glad you're from the Northeast in Borno State. And earlier on, we were talking about figures of deaths by violent acts, and in Borno State alone, about 35,000 people killed by official figures. It could be more. It would be great to hear your candidate's stance on how he would tackle insecurity in Nigeria. And in addition to this, aside Boko Haram, of course, we have kidnapping, banditry, herdsmen, farmers, many things that he has to tackle if he does become president.
Right. So with respect to the first point, which is dealing with the subsidy, subsidy is not what you issue out as an executive order on the day after you take the oath of office, because you know for sure that once you remove the subsidy on day one, probably there is going to be a telling effect on the masses, because you have to lay the foundation for cushioning of the effect. So we're looking at, for example, what do we intend to do if we remove subsidy? The reinvestment of the money that ordinarily has been accruing through to subsidy will be reinvested into critical areas of the economy. We looked at, for example, if you remove subsidy, the prices of transportation is going to be high, and this will cut across all platforms. Everybody will be affected. And the very concern are those ones below the poverty scale and the middle class. So you have to make arrangement to provide some form of mass transit, mass transit that will cushion that effect. You have to look at healthcare. You have to look at infrastructure. So all of these areas are where we intend to invest. But I would tell you, like you asked for a clear-cut steps on that. It is not going to be a day one, like in the case of this removal of multiple exchange rate. In the case of subsidy, once you come on board, you will then look at how to immediately start implementing the cushioning effect, and then you remove subsidy. But there's no going back on it. Atiku has never at any material time considered the idea of a going back or compromising. It is something that all of us have to be prepared for. It's going to make you unpopular. In fact, Buhari wanted to remove the subsidy. Politicians around came and told him not to do that, or else it will cost them the election. And now it's even costing them the election the more, because that irresponsibility has brought us to the point of this debt that we're talking about. So that's the position with respect to subsidy. With respect to insecurity, I think that even though Muhammadu Buhari tried immensely by ensuring that he acquires assets to fight insurgency, why we have not found breakthrough in that, I can make the bold statement a bold position to say that he did not provide decisive leadership, because leadership is everything in everything you do. Where there is no leadership, resources will be squandered. That's what we find. People are not called to account for wrongdoings. People do not have a sense that they will be sacked if they do not perform. People in the APC-led government tend to believe that just find your way, because once you go there, you're going to end the government alongside the president. Irrespective of petition, outcry, widespread disbelief, discontent by the Nigerian nation, nobody cares. So that's why you find more than 70% of the cabinet members are not just ineffective, grossly ineffective, and yet there has never been a consideration to reject, change them, or even hold them to account. Okay. This is one problem. Atiku is going to bring in leadership, and it will not fail to sack the next day after appointment, even if it were to be somebody closest to him when the need arises. All you need to do is to look at his past.
All right, so
I
hear you loud and clear in terms of the fact that your presidential candidate is going to deal decisively and is not going to hold prisoners when it comes to holding people to account. But then one cannot but remember the case of Deborah Emanuel, and his response to that. It didn't seem quite decisive. It didn't seem quite, hard, because there was a tweet on that, which he tweeted, and then he deleted it. And a number of people said it was because of outcry from members of, from the northern part who had said they were going to withhold their votes because of his statement. And then the tweet was deleted. With that kind of response, it is difficult to believe that he would take a hard stance on people who are perpetrating evil in the land.
So I need you to know, in order to counter that point, that Atiku Abubakar is one politician from the northern extraction whom over the years, the northern people tend to think he is not completely theirs because of his hard stance on issues that matters, for example, on national unity, national cohesion, equal access to opportunities, integration of everybody in every part of the country. That's one. So any notion that is given or interpretation given to why the tweet was deleted will be contrary to what he stood for and is still standing for as a principle and a character over the years. The reason why the tweet was deleted, like we said, over and over and over, and it has become a hip-hop song, is that tweet was made not by his authorization. And I can confirm, because when it happened, I hadn't joined them. But even as of today, his Twitter handle is managed by AIDS. And the procedure is that you confer with him on tweets to publish, because he's going to be held liable by the tweet because it is his official handle. That tweet was made without consultation with him. So what he did was immediately he asked that the tweet be deleted, number one. But the follow-up on that is that he took a very stern position supporting the rule of law and condemning extrajudicial killing. I think that is sufficient as far as that matter is concerned. But that is not the only area you determine or adjudge his capacity in taking decision or providing leadership. Take, for example, Atiku believes in the fact that the Igbos are not given the opportunity that they deserve. All his life, he has been taking an Igbo person as the vice presidential candidate, just to prove a point, even though it was costing him death. thankfully now is the better time and it's going to work out.
Mr. Bwala, there's something raging online. A former aide to Atiku Abubakar is talking about SPVs. What are the reactions to this?
Actually, I don't know him. I've never met him. And he is not running for office. And within the purview of my assignment, I'm, a spokesman for the campaign. And that's why I have not engaged in that regard. But with regard to SPV, I think even Americans, England, the world over, SPVs are created to manage risk. SPVs are created to execute special purposes. So if we are going to have an intellectual engagement around SPVs, it's a different thing. But with respect to the person, I do not intend to dignify him by talking about him. I'm even told by the campaign that he has never at any material time been given official appointment or whatever.
So he was never an aide of Atiku Abubakar?
I was told that he has never, in fact, Dino called upon him to present his appointment letter, and I think he hasn't done that up till now. As a politician, let me be honest with you, Atiku is a bit different from other politicians. Atiku believes in young people given the opportunity. You look around, Atiku also believes in equal opportunity, so you will not find a certain part of the country, around him much more than the other part of the country. So some people have taken advantage of that special privilege that Atiku has given. And I think that the conduct of that person will rather block opportunities for youngsters that ordinarily one will, trust and they give them the opportunity. Because if you look at the leaked that it happened a long time, it happened at a time when it was presumed that he was in good terms. So young people might be considered as people who are blackmailers. So, and I hope that message does not resonate with the elite or with the elderly, so that they tend to have some form of distrust on the younger people coming up.
We'll call it today. Thanks for your time, Daniel Bwala. It's time for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have our Rising analyst Marlon Feni join us to review top stories in today's newspaper. Stay with us.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
Lagos has amassed more wealth than any other state in the country to be the most comfortable city to live in.
Now Lagos is earning 51 billion naira every month.
But even with all that money, this is the Lagos you have now. Bad roads filled with potholes, poor drainage system resulting in floods during rainy season, incessant traffic congestions, increased environmental pollution, poor healthcare system, large-scale child begging, poor security and increased crime rate, impunity of state government officials, lack of clean drinking water, poor transportation system. After years of empty promises, Lagos is now rated as the second worst city to live in the world. How long shall we continue like this? Lagos is not working. We want our Lagos back. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as governor of Lagos State. Chafueko, fight for Lagos.
PDP, power to the people.
A reflection of the Nigerian never say die spirit. They never stay down. You're always thinking of how to improve. You're always thinking of how to move forward. My name is Emmanuel Ahimieho. I've been a civil engineer for 18 years. I'm the project manager of Obajana Kaba Road. The Obajana Kaba Road is 43 kilometers built completely of concrete pavement. We started work on December 2016. I remember when we came here, it was virtually lifeless. We're building a road that we know will need very minimal maintenance. It's a road that we don't need to rush back to in 5 years, trying to carry out major maintenance work. We don't need to import anything that we need on the road. They are all locally available materials. All the cement we use on this road is from Dangote Cement Factory, which is the largest cement factory in Africa. The sand is from the communities, so people from the community, they end up becoming suppliers. Imagine supplying sand for a 43-kilometer road. It's a lot of money. There are things I've learned from building this concrete road that I never knew 10 years ago. And to be able to lead those people to achieve something worthwhile, something that is of value to them, to the community, to people who have never met us. And I am positive that the road will outlast most of the people who are building the road. Along this road, you have up to 12 communities. People have the confidence to open shops. Why? Because, you know, someone is going through the road, they sell their things, they sell their goods. That is more money for them. We have a number of eateries now, and you want to buy food along the road, you get fresh food, not food that are preserved. No, you get fresh food. So it is good for us, and it's good for the community too. The road is a lot more safer now for everybody, including Halima, including other travelers. So they have better road, lesser crime, shorter journey times. So a lot of advantages. I've had people who go through the roads and they stop to just say, well done. We are proud of what is happening here. We're happy that this is going on in Nigeria in our time. We can see it. They are proud of it. I think it has brought life back to the communities. I feel very proud, extremely proud being a part of this project.
This na Emeka. He like to dey keep money for her. As CBN deadline don dey near so. This one na wise Emeka. As he don hear say deadline dey near, he wan carry money go deposit for the right place with Access Bank.
It's time to spread your wings and fly. Reach for the sky.
Even if the bank too far, na to go to the nearest Access Closer agent. No carry last with your money o.
Get up right now, right now.
Money wey you deposit for Access Bank, na money wey go make your mind rest well well. Don't let the money spoil for your hand o. 10 million naira today, fit be 0 naira tomorrow. Oya o, Musa, Shade, Onyinye, carry your money go Access Bank or Access Closer agent wey near you. Access, more than banking.
All right, welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. Joining us now for some headlines of today's newspaper from around the globe is the Rise News analyst Emmanuel Afedi. Great to have you, sir.
Yes, good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
let's start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Buhari, I can't be blackmailed over illicit enrichment, inexplicable wealth. Says he has no investment property outside Nigeria. Insists he has fulfilled his promise to tackle Boko Haram. Vows to serve God, country, till last day in office. Promises to remain in Nigeria after May. We are not a rubber stamp National Assembly, Lawan insists. Yes, the President Muhammadu Buhari, restating what many know. Yes, that is squeaky clean. He has no hidden wealth, as it were, anywhere. And he has not dipped his hand into our commonwealth. But what about the fight against corruption? It's not about one man and whether one man is clean, the president. We're talking about what is happening around you and how you've been able to tackle that. Of course, he also talked about security. The president narrowing down his promise to tackle Boko Haram. Is that all there is to security or insecurity, if you will, in the country? Of course, if you look at the front page of this day, just below that story, you see Tinubu Edo train station attack shows Nigeria hasn't won the war against insecurity. I think well said. Insecurity is more widespread than when President Buhari took over in 2015. And the figures are there. Last year, he gave the order that insecurity, bandits should be brought to an end by December. Between September and that December, over 600 persons were killed. Over 1,500 were kidnapped. And of course, early this year, we have started on a kidnapping note with what happened at the Edo train station attack. Whether Boko Haram has been curtailed, but we know our soldiers are still neutralizing, to use the popular phrase, a word. They are still neutralizing remnants of Boko Haram regularly, for which we commend the Nigerian military. But for the president to say that as if that is all there is to insecurity, there has been more insecurity under the watch of the president since 2015. And when the president said last year that I have given the military the free hand to go after these bandits, many Nigerians were shocked. Why were they not given free hands all along? For innocent Nigerians to be killed in their farms, for their cattle to be rustled in many parts of the north, and of course other parts of the country where armed herders have also made life miserable for many Nigerians. But so much for the president. The president's trying to grab the headline with some positive stories, with these statements he's been making very recently. But they are there for the records, but the facts are also there to counter some of these narratives that are not so correct. Insecurity is still widespread in the country, and the president must wake up to that reality, as it were. But I don't think the president is not aware, because he gets daily briefing on the security situation on the country. So there's hardly anything the president is not aware of concerning insecurity. The president just decided to highlight what he thinks is a success story, but that is not all there is to the situation of security in the country. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper article discusses economy, security, with UK government officials, confers with West African leaders. Of course, Mr. Bwala was on the program a short while ago, shedding more light into the Atiku trip to the UK. Yeah, preparing for the, well, if he wins, he becomes the president. He's already preparing the grounds. Of course, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was also in the UK to make his own statement and pitch and let the international community also know what he wants to do, except that he used, that was what he called teamship, to do most of the talking in that trip. But Atiku in London. Now, the Nation newspaper, Buhari, what Nigerians stand to gain from Tinubu, Shetima. They will guarantee good governance, education, security. APC candidate promises economic prosperity. Lawan, governors, Machina, others in Yobe rally. Of course, the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaign was in Yobe State yesterday. And the President Muhammadu Buhari, has a promise, was also there on the soapbox to tell the people of Yobe State what they stand to gain from a government that will be run by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president and Shetima as vice president. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, fear not, elections will hold. Federal government. INEC clarifies issues to prevent voters registered to parties today. 6, commitment of all stakeholders to peaceful polls, promises legacy of free, fair, credible elections. INEC's alarm, irresponsible reps. We mustn't give in to anti-democratic forces, Labour Party, insecurity, not enough reason to postpone polls, APC, PCC. INEC shouldn't give APC opportunity to continue to punish Nigerians. PDP, Pandef, Afenifere, others speak. Yes, the report a couple of days ago, quoting the Independent National Electoral Commission on fears that the election may be postponed if the level of insecurity continue to escalate. But the federal government is assuring that, well, elections will take place, which means the federal government is on top of its game to provide security that will ensure that there is no problem. On election day, every Nigerian, no matter where you live, in every nook and cranny, will be able to come out to cast their vote on that day. That is what we expect. So we welcome that assurance by the federal government. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, 45 days to presidential poll. Fringe parties yet to commence campaigns as APC, PDP, Labour Party, NNPP intensify campaigns across Nigeria. Smaller parties lack level playing field. CNPP, they have good intentions but lack resources to actualize them. Public affairs analyst, APC has structures to win presidential election. Professor Medana. Now, the small parties, some of them, some, underline some, are just there to decorate the ballot box on election day because we have not seen them doing anything. So those smaller parties, if you know you are part of those, just to decorate, you know yourself. Those who are making effort, we know them. But the fact is that we have not seen many of them on the campaign trail. To give excuse of we don't have resources, but you're a political party, you should be able to mobilize your supporters and campaign at whatever level. Some of them, you hardly hear anything about them. Even one presidential candidate, Rufai, we once invited, of a small party, was giving an excuse, I'm very busy. And I was wondering, busy over what? Come and talk to the people. Giving you international platform, you say you are busy. Well, but I think the point has been made. But if we look at the Punch newspaper, I don't know whether this is their strategy. Last lap, Tinubu campaign most alliance with smaller parties. APC looking beyond PDP, NNPP, LP, reaching out to parties to adopt Tinubu. PCC member, Senator Akombi, is the one being quoted there. No negotiation yet. We won't step down for ex-Lagos governor, Accord Party presidential candidates. Well, I hope some of these parties are not waiting for this kind of negotiation to name their prize, and
that's what they're waiting
I
for.
hope that is not the reason why some of them insisted that they have presidential candidates. But we'll continue to watch the political scene and see what happens. Now, the Guardian newspaper, Naira redesign policy comes under pressure. Yes, the Guardian is reporting 27% of Lagosians yet to cite new bankers' note. I have a feel today. Oh. Yes, this morning.
Congratulations.
Yes. I collected 2. They just got from the ATM for me and put it in my purse. So at least I'm part of those who have seen, who have touched, who have the new Naira notes.
I look forward to joining your exclusive club.
So 27%, only 27% of Lagosians, 27% of Lagosians yet to cite the new banknote. Customers seek 6-month extension of January 31 deadline. CBN under pressure to extend old note demonization. FASHUA subject implementation to evaluation adjustment. Bankers making brisk business over lapses as VIPs mop up available volume. Yusuf insists rigid implementation unnecessary. Well, I hope the central bank will take another look at these deadlines and timelines so that Nigerians don't suffer unnecessarily just because of these timelines they have set. There is no virtue in subjecting Nigerians to hardship if you can make it easy without really spoiling anything about the process. What will go bad if CBN extends some of these deadlines instead of making Nigerians to suffer? Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, Insecurity knocks trail INEC statement on election postponement. We warned insecurity may jeopardize polls, ACF. We won't accept postponement. Afenifere hold Buhari APC responsible if PDP is called for action, CSOs, no cause for alarm, federal government. Now, the Business Day newspaper still on the new Naira note. 6 in 10 customers stock. No, this about electricity supply and crazy bills. 6 in 10 customers stuck with crazy bills. Metering still low 9 years after privatization. Well, I will advise anybody who is receiving crazy bills because you don't have a meter yet, fight it, don't accept it. Last time I know, somebody getting as much as 800,000 in 4 months for consuming almost nothing. Fought it and
it should get a prepaid meter.
Yes, and of course the electricity company, Ikeja Electric, to be specific, brought it down to 200 and something thousand after fighting it. So if you don't fight it, it will be there. So fight it and just pay what you think you can pay into the account and protest and fight it all the way.
Mr. Vinny, I just want to bring our attention to this story. It's a very sad one. 150 nurses have resigned from LASSO in the last 3 years, which is very sad. Also, there's an impending doctor strike that's been talked about. Let's be very careful about that. Also, if you look at the front page of the Guardian newspaper, when we keep saying we spend money on infrastructure, Lagos Abeokuta Federal Highway, look at the state of the road.
Yes.
And we are spending so much on infrastructure. And that's a federal road.
This is a federal road. Just be clear. So that because when you say Lagos, people would think it's a Lagos state responsibility.
Yes.
It is a federal road. And there are other roads like that. The Ologbo, from Ologbo to Koko Junction.
Yes.
On the Benin Warri Express Road. A federal road, busy one for that matter, is in bad shape. But when the rain comes, it will be in a worse shape.
Deplorable. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Efeni, for reviewing the newspapers with us today. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we shall be talking to Mike Igini, former Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner for INEC. Stay with us.
New Naira notes? Don't panic. Here's what you need to know. Ensure to make deposits of all old banknotes before January 31, 2023. To make the process seamless for you, all Fidelity Bank branches will be open till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays to allow for cash deposits only. Also, please note that bank charges on all cash deposits have been suspended by the CBN. However, charges shall still be applied on cash withdrawals. The new banknotes can be accessed at any Fidelity Bank branch nationwide from December 15, 2022. Old banknotes will remain in circulation till January 31, 2023, when they will cease to be legal tender, as directed by the CBN. For more inquiries, follow us on our social media channels or email us at true.serve@fidelitybank.ng. You can also call 0700 3035 489 or reach us on WhatsApp on 090 3000 5252. Thank you for banking with us.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband bar.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Getting together for the first time in years was a little bit awkward. Grandpa still tried to entertain us. Mom was always stealing the spotlight from the kids. It wasn't until Grandma cracked a joke
That's my favorite prayer.
that we got back into our groove. In this festive, DSTV is making family time even better with an upgrade.
Stay connected to DSTV and we'll upgrade you to the next package for free.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Yesterday I got a call from Globe. I won a 3-bedroom bungalow.
Yes, guys! Guess what? I won a car.
I won a generator by participating in the Festival of Joy promo by Glow.
Hey, Glow don't do this one for me. Glow is making set to me with sewing machine.
I won generator last year. This year I won for
It's a celebration like no other with prizes like no other. 20 new houses to be won. 24 brand new cars. 200 sewing machines. 100 generators. 1,000 rechargeable fans. Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# now.
Papa, mama, brother, sister. This Lagos must work for all of us. Everybody down
Oh yes, Lagos people. Papa, mama, sister, brother, auntie, plus including uncle them. Better don't land for Lagos State gidigba. Money will be for Lagos State, then go use them for Lagos State. Wella, no more Baba Sope. Then no go chop Lagos State money. Nobody go pocket Lagos State. Then go take and build Lagos State, build road, build hospital, build houses. And now only one man fit do this job. His name na Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jando. He can't carry one obunge person as a deputy governor. Her name na Funke Akindele Jennifer. My people, what do we wait for? Make we vote for light, vote for change. No be the kind change where they vote before. This one na the original change. How Amumu don't do? Pay the pay.
Everybody down Fueko.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. With just 44 days to presidential elections, there has been quite a number of developments that have created concerns around the safety and conduct of the election. From attacks on offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission around the country to the office of the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, under legal threats. Similarly, there are pending cases in court, a total of 719 outcome of controversial party primary cases over candidates for governorship, senatorial, House of Representatives, and State House of Assembly yet to be determined finally by the court. The question is, will Nigerians know these candidates before voting on election day as preparation for the election continues by all stakeholders involved? What are the areas of focus and concerns that should be focused on? And what should be the implementation strategies by key actors for a successful 2023 election? Joining us on the show this morning to discuss these issues around INEC and the elections is Mike Igini, former Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner for INEC. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Esther, for having me.
Great to have you.
All right, thank you so much and good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, and Happy New Year to you, because I think this is the first time I'm speaking this year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
May it be a bright year for all of us. What is going on? We have some pending cases. The Akpabio issue is still there. We had the Senator Elisha Abozon just yesterday coming through. When are we going to know? INEC has come out to say that no final list has been published yet. When are we going to know what is happening in the final list?
Rufai, thank you very much. We have just 44 days to a major election that will define the path that Nigeria will go as from next month. We must recognize that the conduct of election, how it is conducted, the outcome of that election has huge implication for investment within the economy, within Nigeria here economy, and those who want to come to Nigeria to invest. So it is important that the kind of information that we are sending out there should be the one that will have confidence in our environment. It's against that background that quite a number of issues you've raised indeed of interest, and we need to also deal with them, particularly a number of them that are overblown, or some that are complete misinformation being put up by politicians who obviously are scared of what is ahead of them, who are using extra constitutional and non-legitimized actors to try to create a situation that all of us must overcome. Now, with respect to that of pending cases, profile, a it's most unfortunate that whereas there have been so much reform on the part of the commission, most with respect to the statutory framework governing political party primaries, with respect to issue about internal party democracy, we are not where we should be. That is why today, regrettably, we had over 719 cases, as you mentioned, in court. Regrettably, but more seriously, that whereas the presidential candidates are making profound statement, promises that borders on changes that will have to take place with respect to the Constitution, we are not seeing those who are going to the Senate or going to the House of Rep or State House of Assembly presenting and campaigning on any legislative agenda that will be in tandem with those proposals that are being made right now. So again, we are likely to have a situation which we have had over a period, that you may have a party at the center having even the majority in the House of Assembly, but clearly those who came to the National Assembly do not have the same vision with that of the president. So before this election, most of those cases will not be determined, because as pre-election matters, they will have to land at the level of the Supreme Court. But this, at most of the cases right now, they are at the level of Court of First Instance, or at best at the Court of Appeal. Perhaps one or two have actually gone for what do you call it, at the Supreme Court. Now, the other issue that you have raised are very germane. In the last few days, we've been hearing reports about, first and foremost, the chair of a body like INEC undergoing this type of distraction just for nothing, because if those who do what they are doing now are sufficiently aware of the implication of what they are doing, I think they will not embark on that. This is because how will a chair or anybody in the system there working for an election is now being distracted with litigations, and very frivolous ones at that? They have gone to the court of a high court at Abia, Umahia, against the chairman working in Abuja. What happened to the court in Abuja? From there, the matter went to the Court of Appeal. At the Court of Appeal, they lost. Again, from Court of Appeal, they have run to the the High Court in Abuja. The outcome was what we heard a few days ago. Let me be very clear here. And perhaps the NBA, and I've been making this call, that all those who are going to court for this purpose, or those who are trying to say, oh, the BBAS must not be used, which is clearly contrary to public policy, clearly contrary to the statutory provision of the law, an action that may lead to widespread disruption of public life in this country. I think that the NBA, given that those who sign those processes are lawyers, we belong to an association, and you could see the Supreme Court number of their stamp, affixed to those processes. They need to call them to order. So, hello, Commissioner, electoral officers cannot help anybody. This distraction should be put away. Now, Rufai on security. In the last 48 hours, there have been concern, not only in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, about a statement that was made by an official of the commission. And what I needed to do was to read the report. That statement, which of course a genuine concern that there is need to a security agency to deal with the issue of security, but was taken too far to the extent that it's being suggested that election may be put forward on account of that. No, nothing has got to a level where we'll be talking about a suggestion about postponement of election. And in any case, that statement is not the commission decision from what I have read so far. It was an official in an event who expressed concern, which is genuine though, but as to whether that would be enough and sufficient to suggest a postponement of election where we have had situations that are more severe than what we are having at the moment, clearly what isolated cases which are concerned are not enough and sufficient to talk about postponement of election. In any case, it is not the INEC chairman that actually says so. It's also not a decision of the commission. So I think everybody should please relax. And I want to beg of the media, because we have done so well in getting this country to where we are on this question of democracy. Please, at this point in time, when this kind of statement that is so has a wider ramification was made by an official, not the chairman of the commission, not a decision extract from the commission, it would have been better for us to actually go further to confirm from the INEC chairman whether indeed the statement attributed to the national commissioner, which of course is a genuine concern anyway, was actually a decision of INEC that the election may be postponed on account of that. Election will not be postponed on account of such isolated cases.
Well, Mr. Igini, yes, the federal government through the Minister of Information and Culture has come out to say that elections will hold. The timetable remains sacrosanct, and the federal government is doing all it can to ensure that their security is rife. However, just to mention, the INEC chairman did speak through the chairman board of the Electoral Institute training arm, Professor Abdullahi Abdulzuru. He was representing the INEC chairman when he made this statement, so he was acting as a spokesperson for the INEC chairman. And there have been many reactions since that statement was made. He just raised an alarm over the fact that if the security situation or insecurity situation persisted, then it could potentially threaten the elections being held, and very importantly, in some constituencies, making it impossible to declare the winner and also causing constitutional upheaval. So that was what he had said at the training representing the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. But like you said, the Minister of Information and Culture has come out to assure Nigerians that it will certainly hold come February 25 and March 11. But let's move away from that. So other things plaguing the elections, forthcoming elections, which some parties have complained about, and even the electorate, is this issue around the collection of PVCs. The deadline for this collection is on the 22nd of January. That's in a matter of days, that's in 12 days. And people have described the difficulties with being able to access their PVCs. So even though, as the minister and the federal government has said that elections will hold, some Nigerians will or are currently at the risk of being disenfranchised. How can INEC manage this situation? Or is it time now to call for an extension for the collection of PVCs?
Well, just very quickly before I come to this question, still on this issue about security, you know that someone represented the EMB chairman at an event may not be a conclusive evidence that genuine concern really is a basis to say there will be a postponement election, and that indeed the chairman, I'm very sure that perhaps in days ahead, because INEC chairman, the commission have opportunity of briefing stakeholders. In fact, from the paper review this morning, which I listened to a while ago, that they are going to make presentation of the voter register, to the public today or so. I'm sure the commission will be in a position also to reconfirm on that. Now, with respect to the PVC collection, I am aware, just as Arise have done so well, in also helping to educate Nigerians, that yes, we have seen across the country INEC offices where you see people trying to collect their PVC, which has not been very easy. Now, the good news is that at least they have moved down to the level of the wards at the moment. So I think what will happen is for all of us and the commission itself to assess the progress that's being made with respect to collection, to make a determination as to what they need to do forward. And I want to say that collection of PVC should actually not be much problem. INEC will respond appropriately as to what to be done with respect to the issue about the time frame they wish to collect. I am very sure INEC will respond to that. But at least let us see the progress being made, because after all, since on Friday last week, that they devolved to the world level, there have been some remarkable progress in terms of collection of PVC, which is very, very important. That is the area that everybody needs to do right now as we focus on what other stakeholders need to do to have a good election by next month.
Right. Real quickly, I'm happy you've talked about the issue of PVC, but I'd also like to go back, to the issue of security in general. We've had too many attacks on INEC facilities. INEC has been able to reassure us, but some people are not still reassured. A lot of people, I must have to say, that these attacks, as it happened, the printing or the collection of their PVCs, and the fact that people have not been apprehended in these attacks. Also, there's the issue of ad hoc staff, members of staff of INEC, collecting, aiding and abetting criminality of PVC collection. We're even hearing that members of staff of INEC are collecting as much as 5,000 naira in some areas to be able to get you your PVC. We're also hearing that people from certain political parties just come to the collection point and they give them PVCs which we can't even account for. Too much is happening. What's going on?
Well, Rufai, I'm no longer in INEC, but what we've been doing is to educate Nigerians on processes and procedure. I think that some of these emerging issues that you have raised with respect to the alleged unethical conducts that have been spoken about, that people should always make that straight to the commission. It is not expected that somebody, a Nigerian who has registered, who want to collect the PVC, that money should be collected. I think part of the problem, which is the reason why they have devolved right now, is that naturally, from my own experience, you will be surprised that it will even be those who want to collect this PVC will be the one that will first make the offer. Please help me collect, and so on and so forth. So those who are offering and those who are accepting, who are supposed to be official, that's a clear deviation from ethical standard. Those are matters that the commission, of course, should continue to respond to. I mean, you put it out here. I hope that from what you said now, the commission will respond to that. Now, on the security, Rufai, it's regrettable, it's a shameful thing that in our country, anytime we are going for a general election, there is this sense of war that is created around issues of election in our country. And of course, that is the more evidence by the kind of attacks that you see going on in INEC facility across the country. This is not the first time. 2003, 2007, at this point, I don't want to give you statistics of the kind of things that happened in 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019. This has become almost regrettably part of a feature you see in our election. However, one of the things that are giving me the greatest hope in this 2023 election is that most of the things that you're also seeing happening now from some of the information we are getting are clear, response by those who have now discovered that INEC processes and procedure are now difficult for politicians to manipulate. In fact, virtually all loopholes, both statutory and procedural, have all been closed, have all been blocked. This is what is also leading to the panic that you are seeing today. But unfortunately, there's nothing they can do. And that is why I draw attention to issue about recruitment, which you signpost in the opening of your remarks, recruitment of ad hoc staff. Now, on recruitment of ad hoc staff, we know that they would like to infiltrate certain categories of ad hoc staff, which are basically the supervising presiding officer, because these are the people that will handle the ballot paper and the result sheets that will be given to presiding officer. So at the first level of 176,846 polling units, from what has been reported by the EMB, the entire beavers have all been delivered for the country. Those who will work there are purely NYSC that will work in that area. These are the young people who are saying they want to change their country. So interestingly, we want to see how committed they will be to that clamor now that they are going to be the one to be at the polling unit where elections will be won and lost in this country. But areas of concern is that, and this goes to the NYC and of course to my, where I have worked before, that's the commission. And that is that those to be used as NYC core members, the list must be certified by the current DG and given to the commission down to the states. Because politicians in time past, and of course, these are part of it that have been blocked, but you never can tell any angle they are going to come from. What they used to do before Rufai was that those who are passed out of the service, maybe last year or just 2 months ago, in connivance with some officials, of course of the NYC, in time past, what they do is to give out the batch number and their telephone number, batch number of those who are passed out. As a result, politicians will now bring in people who are not youth corpus. It is so uniform for them. They have done that in the past. I investigated a particular.
Okay, I think we'll try to reconnect with Mr. Mike Igini.
Yes.
If we can get him. Wow, I mean, some shocking revelations there about things that used to happen in the past. That
I hope we
politicians
can bring him back for him to continue because this is quite important.
Politicians will manipulate NYC core members. They will get fake people in there.
Yes.
They'll sew NYC core uniforms for them, and they'll put them in as ad hoc staff and all of that. And that's why we need to watch this electoral process.
Yes.
And that's why I say, no matter the frustration, please go out there and get your PVC. Like they say in local parlance, our mumu don't do. You see, the political process and the electionary process has always been hijacked by the highest bidders and those that can buy people's. Hello, how are you? Mr. Igini, please continue. That was very fascinating. So politicians will sew NYC core uniforms for them.
Yeah, they do that. Just as you talk about fake police. But here is the good news. Here is the good news. The good news under the current regime that have brought tremendous energy of integrity to the process, it is that the system we have designed, that's my joy. Even out of the commission, I am happy looking at the system that we all collectively work together to put in place. And that is that the system now is such that, before I used to hear about EO as very powerful, no longer powerful anymore, because we have reorganized, designed the system in such a way that exercise of discretion is not there anymore. The level of what you call human interference is out of the way. And that is why power is fully back with Nigerian people. Therefore, the commission, as expected, will ensure that a certified copy is what we are going to get from NYSC. Now, with respect to supervisory presiding officer, I am aware that the commission, and that's what I've already done all through the period I've been working in the commission, that the supervisory presiding officer, who are the last layer to deliver materials to the presiding officer, are going to be staff of INEC. Where there's a shortfall, they will have to take from staff of federal agency. Here again, in time past, and we have blocked all of this now, in time past, Rufai, what they will do is that politicians will connive with federal agency staff, and they will send what they call list. For people like us, we don't accept list. We request what we call nominal roll. In fact, in the last election, when I discovered there was a lot of mercenary in the system, I recalled a vice chancellor that the Senate meeting that we were to hold should not hold because the integrity of that university will be questioned. And I requested what we call the last pay receipt. That is what we needed to use. So that will be dealt with. Now, with respect to issue about preloading of corridor, or what you call the beavers. Look, politicians are deceiving, some unscrupulous ICT out there, including some element in our system, in our INEC system. They are deceiving politicians that there's something they call preloading. It's not like preloading of beavers. They try to do that with what do you call it, corridor. And I have given out some information to which you can let Nigerians so that I can give a background to that. You could see, no, not this one. There is certain information that I've sent to the Arise, which are there. You could see how people, these are car readers. These were in the private home of a politician, who stole INEC car readers. And what were they doing? They just use this card because there were some local government, when you hear in different parts of the country, that PVC had been collected 100%. How can you say that PVC were collected 100%? When I got to the last place where I worked, the two local governments where 100% PVC were collected were the places who had the most difficult situation. But unfortunately for them, that was the regime of Carida. So if you look at those pictures you are seeing there, what they were doing is these were people's PVC, these some stolen Carida, so they will be swiping. Then that's why you hear about people collecting, information of PVC. All of those ones amounted to nothing. Now, we have moved even away from the corridor because what they try to do here, nothing happened. But if we are in a society where there's rule of law, where not the rule of man, those who were responsible for this should today be in jail. That is not happening in our country. You also see a picture of a young little boy of about 5 years or 6 years, all over in social media. I need to speak to this, to tell Nigerians that look, the joy, why I commend the National Assembly, why I commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that this is going to be the greatest thing that will be said about him. It is that that picture you are seeing, what it was required to achieve before was to populate the register. That was under the section 51, because as at that time, the computation of voting is based on total number of registered voters. But for 23 years, we were fighting for this, that this must change. It should be based on those who actually came, i.e. those who were actually accredited. Now, the law has changed. So no more room for anybody to manipulate anymore. Section 49, which is the section that has encouraged politicians to buy PVC. You will see a picture of a man who was giving money to people selling PVC, which is the property of the federal government, the property of INEC, in a country where the rule of law, this man would have been arrested. You could see what they are doing there now. What they are basically doing is to disenfranchise, to deny these Nigerians whose condition are now being taken advantage of unduly by disenfranchising them. This is what is going on. In a country where there's a rule of law, that guy should be somewhere cooling off in jail right now. So the bottom line is that, look, power is back with Nigerian people. All of you go and collect your PVC. There is nothing anybody can do anymore. We have tried to educate them. They don't want to hear. See, those who fail to drink from the well of knowledge will obviously die in the desert of ignorance. I see shock. I see lamentation. I see people experiencing what we call the dinosaur experience in this 2023 election. Because
Mr. Mike Igini. We'd like to say a big thank you so much for your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mike Igini. Very well said. As he ended, everyone get your PVCs, assured the efforts that INEC is making to ensure that this election is indeed free, fair, and credible. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Oji Opwe will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not. nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and in check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years, from loss of habitat and prey, and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, we vote. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business, we vote.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Esther, you're late again. Esther?
She's a wandering light in the darkness. She's beautiful. She's a superstar. She never let her mama down. She's beautiful. She know they fear. She know they ever got a hand for her.
No phones at the table, please.
Oh.
Esther.
Oh.
I love you too.
Got everything? Don't forget I'll pick you at 4.
I love you.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Getting together for the first time in years was a little bit awkward. Grandpa still tried to entertain us. Mom was always stealing the spotlight from the kids. It wasn't until Grandma cracked a joke
That's my favorite prayer.
that we got back into our groove. In this festive, DSTV is making family time even better with an upgrade.
Stay connected to DSTV and we'll upgrade you to the next package for free.
My brother, my sister, una dey there? Listen make I clear una well. To win election, no be only say your vote na im plenty pass o. Before person fit win election for we country, the person must win 25% of vote for 2/3 of state plus the FCT for Nigeria. That one na for president and governor.
governor must win the same thing for all local government area for the state. Na so our constitution put am o, and na so all our presido take become presido. All our governors na the same way dem take win. So therefore, my people, our country big no be small o, and we get different language, different religion, ethnic group nko. That one sef dey nyafu. Na why nobody fit think say if you don't get north vote, abi south vote, abi east or west vote, you don't do. Na lie yo, except you collect vote from all over the country, you just dey bobo yourself. Make una tell everybody, make everybody for know now, make you no for cause fight tomorrow. Na Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, bring on this message.
Knowledge is power. Information is currency. Trust us to tell you what you need to hear. Welcome to the program. You're with Arise News in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Breaking news, exclusive interviews, unrivaled analysis. It's you, the audience, who drives our agenda. We tell the stories that inform you, the stories that are important to you, and the stories that are about you. We are not every news channel. We are Arise News.
This is the heart of the business world in Lagos, the commercial capital of Africa's largest economy.
These aren't just numbers. They represent our nation's sharpest minds, our most successful investors, our most inspiring bosses. In Nigeria, business is in our DNA. From micro-business to startups to world-conquering brands. Every success story has something in common. They all started somewhere. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Global Business Report gets to the heart of business. We bring you the stories making headlines across the globe with in-depth analysis from experts and executives.
This is not business as usual. This is the Global Business Report.
A bit of showbiz. If it's happening in the world of entertainment, you'll be hearing about it here.
From what's trending on the socials to music and movies, and all the latest showbiz gossip from around the world. Join us for a front row seat at the Oscars in Los Angeles, or the biggest moments from Fashion Week. It's fun, it's fresh, and it's packed full of all the entertainment news you need to know. You heard it here first. I'm Kachi Ofia, and this is Arise 360, where every culture matters.
A reflection of the Nigerian never say die spirit. They never stay down. You're always thinking of how to improve. You're always thinking of how to move forward. My name is Emmanuel Ahimieho. I've been a civil engineer for 18 years. I'm the project manager of Badana Kaba Road. The Abajana-Kaba Road is 43 kilometers built completely of concrete pavement. We started work on December 2016. I remember when we came here, it was virtually lifeless. We're building a road that we know will need very minimal maintenance. It's a road that we don't need to rush back to in 5 years, trying to carry out major maintenance work. We don't need to import anything that we need on the road. They are all locally available materials. All the cement we use on this road is from Dangote Cement Factory, which is the largest cement factory in Africa. The sand is from the communities, so people from the community, they end up becoming suppliers. Imagine supplying sand for a 43-kilometer road. It's a lot of money. There are things I've learned from building this concrete road that I never knew 10 years ago. And to be able to lead those people to achieve something worthwhile, something that is of value to them, to the community, to people who have never met us. And I am positive that the road will outlast most of the people who are building the road. Along this road, you have up to 12 communities. People have the confidence to open shops. Why? Because, you know, someone is going through the road, they sell their things, they sell their goods. That is more money for them. We have a number of eateries now, and you want to buy foods along the road, you get fresh food, not food that are preserved. No, you get fresh food. So it is good for us, and it's good for the community too. The road is a lot more safer now for everybody, including Halima, including other travelers. So they have better road, lesser crime, shorter journey times. So a lot of advantages. I've had people who go through the roads and they stop to just say, well done. We are proud of what is happening here. We're happy that this is going on in Nigeria in our time. We can see it. They are proud of it. I think it has brought life back to the communities. I feel very proud, extremely proud being a part of this project.
Welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. Drum rolling. Joining us now is the delectable, insurmountable, Ojinika, Jinix,
Here is your award.
Stories trending around the world.
Here is your award, Rufai.
Thank you.
Good job. Well, all
Dr.
right.
Mati, I can't beat you.
No, you tried to do it. You
I
tried.
miss you so much, Dr. Mati. I miss you.
Dr. Mati.
Yes, you definitely.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Well, all right. Well done, Rufai.
All right. Let's get into Rumble.
All right, then. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In the United Kingdom, the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry's autobiography, Spare, has made history as the fastest-selling non-fiction book ever. The book recorded 400,000 copies sold so far across hardback, ebook, and audio formats on its first day of publication. Harry's book was mistakenly released early last week in Spain, with journalists scrambling to get a copy to report on what was inside the book before it was taken off the shelves. In the ghost-written memoir, Harry recounts his grief at the death of his mother, Princess Diana, his disputes with his brother, Prince William, and frustration at his role as the royal spare in the shadow of his elder brother, who is heir to the throne. In Greece, tributes pour in for the country's former king, Constantine II, whose 9-year reign coincided with one of the most turbulent periods in the country's political history. The former king, who is a cousin of British monarch King Charles III, ascended the throne at the age of 23 in 1964. At the time, he had already achieved glory as an Olympic gold medalist in sailing. Constantine II was born on June 2nd, 1940, in Athens. He was the nephew of Greek-born Prince Philip, the late Duke of Edinburgh, and husband of the United Kingdom's late Queen Elizabeth II. He was 82 years old. In Nigeria, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has condemned the abduction of train passengers in Edo State, stating that the incident proves that the country has not completely won the war against insecurity. The APC presidential candidate described the abduction as another sad episode in the security challenges facing the country. 6 victims were said to have been rescued on Monday, according to authorities, including 1 female victim rescued on Tuesday. Under sports, Cristiano Ronaldo's new club, Al Nassr, on Tuesday debunked reports claiming that the Portuguese striker will earn 200 million euros to back a Saudi Arabia bid to host the 2030 World Cup. Al Nassr, in a statement, said Ronaldo's main focus is to work with his teammates and to help the club achieve success, and that his contract does not entail commitments to any World Cup bids. The Portugal captain joined the Saudi-based side as a free agent last month after leaving Manchester United following a controversial interview in which he criticized the club. Finally, under entertainment, the 80th Golden Globe Awards ceremony returned on Tuesday after a year off air, with a red carpet flush with celebrities, as the beleaguered award show sought to rekindle its pre-pandemic and pre-scandal glamour. Steven Spielberg's autobiographical coming-of-age film, The Fabelmans, won Best Drama Film. The director, who has been nominated 14 times for the Globes, also picked up Best Director. Comedian and actor Eddie Murphy was honored with the Cecil B. DeMille Award. During his acceptance speech, Murphy offered some advice for up-and-comers in the industry.
It's very simple. There's 3 things you just do. These 3 things. Pay your taxes. Mind your business. And keep Will Smith's wife's name mouth.
So, this man is my all-time favorite comedian. I swear, I bet we have to bring another Oscar moment right there. I mean, will Smith's slap ever fade away? Ever? Ayo, Rufai, quickly.
Never.
That's the big question.
Well, first of all, congratulations to him, really. I mean, he deserves that honor. I mean, it is the highest honor at the Golden Globes, really. Congratulations to Eddie Murphy.
Congratulations to him. By the way, the Will Smith slap has its own dedicated Wikipedia page. It's an event in history on its own. For those who might have forgotten, last Oscars, where
nobody's forgetting. Don't worry.
No one's forgetting. Had his moment of glory.
Yes.
And it has even become, material for motivational speeches. Don't be like a Will Smith, your day of glory. One day, one mistake can just destroy everything. So, I mean, it was good for Eddie Murphy. Obviously, we know that there are no boundaries for him. So he went there.
Yes,
like moments of laughter.
He did. Congratulations again, Eddie Murphy. Well, let's continue what's trending with reactions trailing President Muhammadu Buhari's comment in Yobe State, in which he asked residents of the state to vote Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, so that he can continue his legacy. The president made the comment at the Township Stadium in Damaturu during the party's presidential campaign rally, adding that the former governor of Lagos State is capable of ruling the country. Tinubu at the rally praised the president for the success in the fight against insecurity.
Promise you, love, sincerity, transparency, job,
Well, a lot of promises, a lot of promises. Well, if you heard my headline, Tinubu today, yesterday released a statement condemning the attack, the Edo train abduction. He talked about the fact that this is a sad moment in the history of Nigeria, also challenging the security forces to, rescue the victims that have been kidnapped. He talked about the fact that, our security is still challenged. And in this rally, praised Muhammadu Buhari, the president, for securing the nation. Rufai, quickly.
It's out there. And that's why when the president says vote, he can canvass votes for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, don't get me wrong. But when he says vote him to continue my legacy, I ask, what legacy? Is it the legacy of insecurity? Afaka? You remember what happened? That even where we are training our soldiers, the bandits came in there through the back in Kaduna. Is it the students of that university that were kidnapped, that were killed? Should we go on? Is it the fact that these terrorists were strolling past our airports? Is it the fact that security has been breached? That Governor El Rufai had been complaining so much about the insecurity? Is it Bethel School? Should we go on and on and on? Is it also the fact that Governor Zulum of Borno State has come out to say that even 2 local governments are still under Boko Haram? Is it Zabamari? So what are the legacies? Is it high inflation rates? Oji, I put it to you, you are poorer now in Naira terms than you used to be 8 years ago. Because you see, what 100 million Naira could get you now, or 50 million Naira could get you now, it can't get you that again.
No, absolutely.
So is it education? That you now have over 20 million out of school people? Because you see, when we put out this data by the development agencies, they always go to controvert it. But I'm like, put up your own data that shows. So it's not just about making arguments. It's about putting up your own data. Stat Sense we read said between 2012 and 2022, over 35,000 people. Thank God I showed you that data, Ayon. In Borno State alone. If the government says it's like, put out your own data.
And that was the point that was made by a lot of Nigerians as well. The president should have used this opportunity to also talk about his wins. Ayo, let me take a tweet before I come to you. This is from King, who wrote, yesterday in Yola, Nigerians were expecting Buhari to talk about his achievements in the past 7 years that should have made them vote APC again, but never mentioned one. Why should impoverished, insecure, and miserable Nigerians vote APC again? Ayo, really quick.
Well, King, according to the president, what he said was that he was demonstrating his wins. In fact, he said he had 3 main legacies, which he was talking about in Yola. He said number 1 was security, which Rufai talked about. Number 2 was economy. Number 3, education. And every single one of them, unfortunately, there's nothing to show. Rufai, you're talking about, you've given examples. What analysts have said about the security situation in Nigeria is that, yes, he mentioned that he degraded the Boko Haram in the northeast. And they said, yes, the number of attacks and killings have reduced. However, they've now given birth to other siblings and spread across other parts of Nigeria. So now we have kidnapping. We have banditry. In fact, they say the bandits have gotten so brazen that they went to attack the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna State. Yes, they're so brazen that they now hijack trains. And we talk about security being one of his legacies. So if that is your legacy, then we want to know which ones are. If this is a win, then we wonder what's your failure or what the failure of this government or what they didn't quite do well would be, because Nigerians do not think it's a win.
Absolutely. Well, let's take another story. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, in an apparent jab to his opponents on Tuesday during a town hall meeting with members of the Anambra State Traditional Rulers Council at the government house in Awka, stated that Nigeria's presidential seat is too important to be used as a retirement home for older politicians. The Labour Party flag bearer went on to state that whoever emerges as Nigeria's president in 2023 must be equipped with the requisite knowledge to solve the current challenges facing the country. Let's take a listen.
We're not productive. That is why your dollar is not working, because your dollar reserve is a function of your rate is a function of reserve. Reserve is a function of export. Because you're not producing anything, you're not doing anything, and you cannot employ level. We are support agricultural revolution that will drive specialization, drive processing, drive export, and will change Nigeria. Guiding everybody, let's make it work. We need a character we can work. We want somebody who is competent. We want somebody who have the capacity. We want somebody who is committed. We want somebody with compassion. And above all, remember, this job requires physical and mental energy. Not environment work.
Well, Rufai, I bet a lot of Nigerians will agree with Peter Obi, as you also see in the former Nigerian president's endorsement, Olusegun Obasanjo, who addressed the youth to vote competent leaders. Well, in the meantime, Margaret Obi, wife of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, stirred up social media with her dance moves in Anambra State while campaigning for her husband. Let's take a look. This is a challenge for the other candidates' wives to come out to dance. Booga next time, right?
Yes, but all their wives are good dancers. So Olusegun Obasanjo is a very good dancer.
Okay, we're waiting. I want to see it. I love it.
I like the way she was blushing like a new bride.
Loved it too.
Really adorable.
That's a sweet song.
Yeah.
Sweet
Well,
love
all
song.
right. Okay, we shall take our final story. Nollywood has paid tribute to filmmaker and founder of the African Movie Academy Awards, Peace Ayim Osigwe, who died on Tuesday after a brief illness. Ayim Osigwe was the president of the Association of Movie Producers in Nigeria. She attended Oxford Brookes University in England, where she obtained a law degree in political science. In 2015, she began Africa One initiative to celebrate Africans in the entertainment industry. She received a Member of the Federal Republic Award from the Nigerian government in 2012 for her work in the entertainment sector. She died at the age of 54. I am so heartbroken. Well, may her gentle soul rest in peace. Yeah. We all, commiserate with the Nollywood film industry. Thank you all for your great analysis on what's trending. I wish we had more time to chat on this. Well, that's all I have. Well, that's all I have for you guys on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
And that's all on this edition of the morning show. Ruth Sodiri will be here to take you through the global business report. Stay with us.
This na Emeka. He like to dey keep